Good morning, everyone. Hope you're all doing very, very well this fine Sunday. Hope all my fellow Americans had an amazing 4th of July. Uh, um, I certainly will be looking forward to next year's 4th of July. This one wasn't great. But we're not going to get into that stuff. Nostalgia Vivek, welcome to the stream. How you doing? I saw you followed on Instagram, by the way. Much appreciated. Thank you. Hope you enjoy any miniature stuff I share over there. So, oh yeah, fun fact for anyone who hasn't seen my Instagram, it is entirely around my miniatures. I don't post like, like me going out to dinner like, sup guys, like here's my meal. And I don't do cosplay. Nothing would look very flattering on me. So if you ever go to my Instagram, it's literally just me sharing my miniatures. I don't think I ever post anything else over there. But yeah, welcome everybody. Today we're going to be talking about the Lawfare that Games Workshop is currently and in the past has conducted, like so many people have reminded me. I'm not gonna lie, on my most recent video, so many. Well, I won't say so many. Like most of the comments were amazing people, just giving condolences and stuff, giving recent stuff, and just being generally nice or commenting about the situation. And GW using legal fare against the guy who complied with the cease and desist, might I add. But there were plenty of people who were in the comments who were saying something akin to like, "Oh, GW using legal fare against its own fans? I sleep," or something like that. So similar levels of just like, "Oh, they're doing it again. Oh well," like implying it wasn't something notable to report on. I will say this, like I hope I didn't give the impression in that video that I thought this was the first time or even the last time that GW has used legal fare against its own fan base. It's not. First off, this isn't going to be the last time. As much as we might push back on it, this isn't going to be the last time. They will try this again. They're one of the most litigious, at the very least with cease and desist for sure. They're one of the most litigious companies in like for fandoms anywhere, which is interesting considering their size. Like for years they've always been going after people like making secondary content for Warhammer. People being indifferent is sad. It is. There's a quote. What's that quote from KOTOR 2? Apathy is the true death, or something like that. And I would kind of say, yeah, that's very true here. It is sad to see those comments, people just being so indifferent or apathetic to the situations like this. Honestly, I do genuinely prefer the assholes who just take the side of GW, because at least they're misguided and but they're passionate about something. They're siding with something. They're taking a stance with it. The apathetic people, it's just, I don't care anymore. Oh, it's not the first time. Those people drive me nuts. Yeah, apathy is death. So, yeah, it is sad to see that. Thankfully, again, that doesn't seem... The majority of the comments were, again, great people who were, taking a stance and being like, yeah, this is fucked up what GW is doing. But I did get a few comments from really dumb people who either went out of their way to use pretzel logic to side with GW, while at the same time saying, "Oh, but I don't side with GW. Like I'm not on their side, but allow me to proceed to make a bunch of arguments assuming they're in the right." Which it's like, so you're not on their side, but you're going out of your way to be on their side. Right. But anyway, welcome Arsha Silva and Ben Garrison. People, I already read that. My apologies. History belongs to those who give a crap. True. Generally. So anyway, for everybody else hopping in, who have not seen my latest video, or haven't seen what it has kind of inspired this open mic, recently, a creator by the name of E-Man-G, was... Sorry, I'm a bit tongue-tied this morning. So, E-Man-G is a STL maker, which means he makes 3D models for people to print off as miniatures. I have several STLs of my own that I got from similar artists. I don't think I have any from E-Man-G, though. Welcome Donatos Afiel and Urososium. By the way, Asmo, I am here, but cleaning the house. We'll finish in a few minutes. Yes, get vacuuming. Whoosh. You better dust under them shelves, boy. Good to see you, Urus. Welcome to stream. But yeah, Emanji was... now, this is a detail I didn't cover in my video. To be fair, I said at the beginning of my video that I was kind of emotionally charged given recent stuff. But now that I'm having a second chance to kind of talk about it, there is one aspect I didn't cover, which we will talk about today. But Emanji was making STLs for Warhammer Fantasy. He was putting them up completely for free on Colts 3D, for those who know the website. It's basically just a place. It's kind of like Thingiverse, if you know what that is. I don't know any other similar sites other than that for Thingiverse. So Colts 3D is a website where you could just put up 3D models and STLs. I think you can also put on, if I'm not mistaken, I think you can also put up kind of like eBay style. You could put up for people to like buy a printed mini from you. I could be wrong. It might just be for the 3D STLs. In fact, I'm pretty sure that's the case. But I thought I saw at one point people like selling like actual physical things you could buy from a seller. I could be wrong though. But Colts 3D generally is for 3D modelers to put up STLs for people to buy or to get for free and to just free download so they could print them off at home in their 3D printers, whether that be PLA printers or STL printers. And in Emanji's case, he was putting on Colts 3D completely for free 3D models for people to print off that were based in Warhammer Fantasy. Now, the aspect I didn't mention in my video, so one person accused me of, oh, you conveniently left this out. I didn't conveniently leave it out. I don't think it's relevant, and I still don't think it is, but I'll add it in now. Hold on, let me show you guys the models he put up. Oh, hello. Why is that so zoomed in? I hate it when my tab... There we go. Okay. Sorry about that. So this is... the zoom in feature. Well, anyway, these are examples of models that Emanji was putting up. Why is it so off-center? This one in particular I do think is troublesome. I didn't see this one till this morning, but these are examples of models he put up for 3D printing. Now, immediately, the thing you're going to notice that's concerning is, wait, this looks exactly like Grimgor from Total War Warhammer, doesn't it? Correct, it does. Now, here's the thing that I didn't bring up, because I wasn't as familiar with Emanji's process. Again, I still have arguments in favor of Emanji. This is not like a crucifixion of him. But the bad thing, and I think that the thing that made GW go after him is, in his case, he wasn't just modeling something from the ground up, like what you should do, I should say. When I model stuff for Warglaive Gothic, for example, I start from the ground up. That's why it takes so long to make models. I don't have a reference except for the concept art made by my artist, Pyrrhus. I'm genuinely going in blind most of the time when I'm putting together the models for Warglaive. I don't start from an existing model or an existing figure. Or, you know, I don't do that. And I genuinely don't think, especially if you're going to put up models that are based in an existing IP or copyright, you shouldn't do what Emanji did, which is he took models directly from Total War Warhammer, converted them to STLs, and he just posed them. He gave them different poses, so when you printed them off, you know, you could have Grimgor doing an idle stance, he could be roaring. He took the models and he rigged them, and then he converted them to STLs. Now, that is definitely a problem for him. However, the reason I don't think it's the biggest point, like, people say this destroys the defense for Emanji, I don't agree. Because the biggest factor people need to keep in mind is twofold. One, these models don't currently exist in GW's, with the exception of Be'lakor. We'll talk about that in a second. But with the vast majority of the models that E-Man put up don't exist currently in GW's catalog. They don't currently sell them. Now, that's important because Emanji put these up for free. He did not put these behind a paywall. The reason this is important is, albeit I'll definitely concede that he is, and was, breaching their copyright and their IP by putting these up for sale, he was not doing anything that could accrue damages. Therefore, the lawsuit that he's received is frivolous. Also because of the second part, which is he obeyed the initial cease and desist by his own account, admittedly. I have no proof that he immediately obeyed it, but going on his word, he obeyed the cease and desist he got and put these models off the web. He took them off his website immediately and his Colts 3D account. So the twofold there is he wasn't making any money off of them while they were up. The Patreon he had was for gratuity. For those who don't know, gratuity means it's a tip. It's like, hey, I appreciate what you're doing. I'm going to give you some money. That was what was happening in E-Man's case. None of the models he put up were behind a Patreon paywall. They were all on Colts 3D. So if you wanted to pick up Grimgore, if you wanted to pick up the Green Knight, you wanted to pick up... Oh, whoops, sorry. I have the tabs open. If you wanted to pick up Be'lakor, you could just go to Colts 3D and get them for free. There was no paywall. He was not profiting off of the IP. And the second part is according to his own account, when he received the initial cease and desist from GW, he immediately obeyed it. Meaning, the Grimgore, the Green Knight, Be'lakor, and any other 3D models of... I'll read that in a second. I saw someone pop in. But any of the other 3D models were not behind the Patreon wall, meaning they were for free on Colts 3D. So based on his account, on those twofold elements, the lawsuit is frivolous because he obeyed the cease and desist. Now, if there's proof to the contrary of that, then he's in hot water. Excuse me. Welcome, Zalthy. Other modeling sites. There's Maker's World, Bamboo, and Printables, Prusa. I don't think, however, I've seen miniatures there as much. The only one I could think of outside of Colts 3D and Thingiverse is My Mini Factory. I used that for a couple of my miniatures in the past, although I had to close my store. I didn't have enough to put up at the time. Adam Wolford, welcome to stream. GW sue someone for stealing from them. Meanwhile, Dune, the Foundation, Elric of Melnibene, Starship Troopers saying, "Oh, really? Oh, yeah." That's the other big thing that I find hilarious about this is the hypocrisy. Honestly, I would be less on E-Man G's side if it was any other company, right? Like if this was George Lucas and Star Wars or something, I would be a little less on E-Man. But it is the hypocrisy element that does make this far more clean cut for me personally to be against GW, because they've stolen literally everything that they have within Warhammer. Not a single element of it did they come up with, really. The only parts they came up with was the mortar in between the bricks. Like, all the core ideas, the bricks, they pieced together and they came up with a mortar to, like, mesh them together. And I don't mean to say that that's nothing. That does require a level of creativity. But it doesn't change the fact that they stole the bricks. None of the bricks are their own. They copied and stole virtually everything about their own universe. So the fact that they're as litigious and as ridiculous as they are about their own thing is comical. And that's what makes it particularly egregious. Yeah, I saw the Be'lakor one. That's why I listed. Yeah, the Be'lakor one. This one is definitely where I'll say that he, because these two right here, they don't exist in the catalog, right? Like Grimgore in terms of the Warhammer site doesn't currently exist. The Green Knight, certainly not in this detail. I didn't see it listed. It might be in the Old World stuff. I didn't check there, but generally to this detail and this aesthetic, he doesn't exist in their catalog. Be'lakor, however, this does exist on their catalog. So specifically, if their GW are going after the Be'lakor model, I have to say he's probably in hot water there, because this is identical to the one they have on their store. I will concede that one for sure. But again, that gets kind of beaten out, though, if he obeyed the initial cease and desist. The whole point of a cease and desist is to avoid the legal lawfare. It's to avoid getting into a lawsuit. It's a company saying, hey, we will sue you if you don't obey this. And according to his own account, he obeyed it, and regardless of that, they still sued him. So that's kind of where things definitely end up on me supporting E-Man. Because if that's true, and he obeyed that initial cease and desist, they're assholes. they're cunts for still going after him. It's ridiculous. Chikai, welcome to stream. The Patreon was for supported versions, which is why he was on their radar in the first place. Is that the case? I don't know if that's true. If true, that might be an issue. That would definitely be a little bit of a gray area, though. Because if all of the models were on Colts 3D just unsupported, but if you could go to his Patreon to get supported versions, you still wouldn't be paying for the model, because you could get the model for free. Yes, I was sub to him. Okay, so that does provide a little bit more of a gray area. This is where you definitely need a lawyer to talk about it, because at that point, it becomes down to this semantical argument, okay, of the models are not being sold on the Patreon, but the supports are what you're buying. If that's the case, then you could still make the argument he wasn't profiting off of the miniatures themselves. Granted, I'll admit that's definitely more of a lawyer defense than it is a moral defense. Yes, he was sub to him. Oh, okay. So yeah, that's definitely a red flag area. See, this is why I like these open mics. I can actually, get some information I wasn't able to accrue prior. But yeah, that's some updates that weren't in my video. Yes, these models. So Chikai, since you were a part of his Patreon, do you know? This is a genuine question. Do you know if he obeyed the initial cease and desist? Well, maybe you wouldn't know when he got the cease and desist, but actually, he says where he got a cease and desist in his. I believe so. Hold on. So on October 24th, 23, I was personally served with a number of copyright infringement complaints. I don't know if that's the cease and desist, but around October, did he remove the Warhammer Fantasy models from his Patreon? Actually, why am I asking? Well, we could start the calls. I could start the calls and have you come in. You think inside Scrolls Pod, he said September was the cease and desist? Okay. Well, I'm going to start up the calls, and Chikai, I'm very interested in having you come on as one of his patrons. Since you had visibility on when the models were available and when they were not. So let me put that away. Okay, he pulled the Colts pretty much straight away, but the Patreon stayed alive for a little. Okay. Yeah, I definitely want to pull you on, man. If you're willing to come on the show. So real quick, in the description, let me copy and paste it. Boom. Boom. So I'm gonna share the link in the chat, and throughout the stream, it's in the description if you guys want to jump in and have a call. So Chikai, if you jump in the Discord, at me. In topic related, at me and say, hey, this is me, and I'll pull you in ahead of everybody. No offense to everybody who's currently waiting, but as this guy is and was a patron of E-Man G, he's got a level of visibility I didn't have, so I would really like to pick his brain. I got traffic in them, so I can't get VC, but it's not as cut and dried as people are making out. Okay. Well, let me know if you get a break in traffic or something, man, and you can hop on and talk, because I would appreciate a level of visibility I don't have. But yeah, so outside of that, the testimony that we got from E-Man G was that on the initial cease and desist, he immediately obeyed it and removed all the stuff. Chikai is giving a little more context, saying he did obey the Colts 3D aspect, but took him a little while longer. If you could give me a time frame, was it a month later he removed the Patreon stuff? Or was it a couple weeks? He removed the Colts 3D stuff, a couple weeks went by, and then he remembered to do the Patreon stuff. But regardless, initially he did still obey. So that does confirm, though, that he did obey the cease and desist. Maybe not fully, but he did obey the initial cease and desist as he attested to in his own interview. We might actually get some revelations on this open mic. That might be fun. Anyway, so we're going to start the calls, and hopefully, if anyone else, by the way, is a patron other than Chikai, or if anyone was... I was also a patron? Okay, Lucas, can you come on then as well? Yeah, just add me in the Discord, because again, like, getting details I didn't have access to would be amazing, because I didn't have the visibility of his Patreon. So yeah, if you hop in the Discord, let me know and just at me and topic related and say, hey, I'm here. I'll pull you ahead of everybody else. Again, no offense to the other callers. It's just getting those little tidbits of detail that like I don't have would be awesome. All right, but regardless, we're gonna start with our first caller, and you know him personally. Oh, okay. I'm on the call line. Okay. Which person in the call are you? Are you EVNet or EVNet? Ah, you're EVNet. Okay, well, you're the first person up anyway. So we'll pull in our first caller, who is a patron of Eman G. Hello, can you hear me?
Hey.
Hey. Can you hear me?
Yeah, it's me, Toasty.
Nice to see you.
Nice to hear you again, man.
Yeah, likewise. How you doing?
I printed a bunch of Iron Warriors. The Venom Crawler is dog shit because the legs are just, yeah. I printed essentially 4,000 points.
Okay.
Yeah. Wait a minute. I'm going.
Oh, all right. I'll give you a second.
About E. What do you want to know? Because I'm a long time supporter of him. Also, I try to learn from him because he ripped the files from. Okay, I shouldn't actually say that. Because he on Archcast he said he can't reveal it because the lawyer said it.
All right. Real quick. TB, stop spamming, or I'm banning you from chat. Please and thank you. I know you're just coming in, so that's why I'm not going to ban you off the bat. But I know you're just coming in, but we already showed the Bellacore thing. We already, so go back in the stream and you can, if you want to just hear my opinions about that. But we already brought that up. Stop spamming or you're banned. Please and thank you. All right. So one big question I have is because the big thing that makes me side with Eman despite the fact that I don't deny that he absolutely breached the copyright, especially with that Bellacore model. Like that's almost one for one, the one that they have on GW. But my big thing is for the lawsuits anyway, and why I think that they're still frivolous is because of the cease and desist aspect. That and the fact that the models were up for free, and they weren't behind any kind of paywall. So with that being said, another person in chat. Sorry, let me double check the name. My apologies, Chikai. I almost forgot your name. It's only been a couple seconds, but Chikai is also a patron. And he said that the models were on the Patreon, but just the supported versions. Now, my understanding is all of those same models were also on Colts 3D. So a big question I have is, were there any models that were on the Patreon that weren't on Colts 3D?
Well, yeah, that's true. But, you know the Monolith Beast, the Zinch one?
Yeah?
That was not on Colts. A lot of stuff actually wasn't on Colts, like that one Bloodthirster, the Keeper of Change, essentially all greater demons, because they were like supported and
oh wait. So clarification then.
what?
Regardless, separate from them just being supported. Like, were there any models?
Some were on Colts, like the Unclean one, the named one was on Colts, but I think it wasn't supported because that's the thing. He kind of didn't do that because that would look like he's selling them. Because the most sought after ST8 file is the supported one.
Correct.
And he didn't do that on Colts.
That is shady.
And
So,
also a lot of stuff like the monolith chaos beast, the land kraken. Everyone is calling that. It wasn't on cults. Like also the bloodthirster, 3 different like variants wasn't also on cults because they were like I I don't know why he didn't. I guess because they were like too on the nose.
mm, yeah, that's gonna be the thing that. Okay, I was because his testimony on his own interview with this is that all of the models were on Colts 3D for free, and that
Not
the
not
Patreon
all,
was
not all,
solely gratuity.
not all. The land kraken, the monolithic beast wasn't on cults, and as I said, also blue horrors and stuff that was still in work in progress was not on cults.
Okay, so he lied.
Yeah,
Mm.
if you ask me, yeah, I was a lot of times on his cults because he wanted to make Chaos Warriors.
Was there without because I don't have all the images, I just have a handful that were shared.
Yeah,
Were these models at all deviated from the official looking ones in any notable way?
mostly from Total War.
Hmm.
Like, let's say the poster, like if you buy Total War Warhammer 3, there's Kislev and there's a Bloodthirster. He's doing that one pose, that Bloodthirster, and Eman G modeled it after it. He took a lot of inspiration from Total War.
Okay, inspiration though, but he didn't because
I
I
say inspirational because
okay
I don't want to fuck him over.
true.
I know him, by the way.
Eesh. Okay. So I will be honest. That does kind of recolor my view of it because I was going in my initial coverage based on trusting his own testimony, but there's already a big hole with it because one part of his testimony was that okay, all the models were free on Colts.
Yeah, they were. They were all free. That's not a question. It was.
Okay, so wait, maybe there's a bit of a disconnect here. So if all of them, so was there like was he publishing stuff on Patreon that wasn't behind a pay tier? Is that what we're talking about?
There, if I remember right, there was only one tier, and it was kind of like giving him like money for coffee, tip. And the support files was like, yes, like for supporting me, here you get this supported file.
But it was just the support files, like just the raw STL file without the supports was free either on Colts.
There were also unsupported files that he didn't manage to support because it was like too big, like the Land Kraken. But as I remember right, it was also a lot of things was pulled. If that was said already, um, yeah, there was only one tier if I remember right, or I was just lazy and support like immediately subscribed.
Okay. Yeah, because for me, like again, I'm not sure if I'm just misunderstanding here, but you're saying his testimony that they were all free was true, and that
Is
the
true.
okay, so if that's the case, no model, just the model itself, so not the
The thing
supported model, but was free
Can
somewhere.
I say something about supported models?
Yeah, you did. Well, but that's my thing is like there's a bit of a it could just be like a wording thing,
The thing
but
is, GW, if you ask me, GW is only attacking him because of the supported models. But the thing is, everyone can support them. Espe I'm s-
correct with
it, there's
Shitterbox
something
or
there's something called Telegram. It's really illegal because all the STL files are shared like Pokemon cards. There are a lot of people who can support them. My point is, supported files, everyone can do it, especially auto support. Auto support in G2 box became so good. You can be a noob, just orient it right, auto support, and do a little bit like extra supporting. That's it. That's why GW is attacking him because essentially a lawyer came an employer came and said, we can attack him because everyone only wants the supported models. What is pure bullshit.
And if that's their mindset, yeah, that is bullshit because it's very easy to
It's
support
pure
models.
bullshit. I tell you, man.
Yeah, that is complete bullshit. I mean, even if you don't like Chitterbox, there's crap. What's the other one?
Cheetahbox is the best one currently with all the
Chitter,
supports.
yeah, Chitterbox is very very good. There's another one though.
Lychee Slicer.
Yeah, I have that one.
The auto supporting is dog.
It's not amazing. You do have to be
It-
more manual with it, but
but
it's the one I use.
island detecting is really good there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
that's the only thing why they're attacking him. That's so dumb.
oh, Cameron Boost, thank you for the super chat, man. Thank you. Don't see GW going after BFG modelers. He got hit because he modeled for something GW is trying and failing to bring back.
Oh
Sorry,
yeah.
he gets no sympathy from me.
Yeah, dude. You know Doom Eternal?
Doom Eternal? Yeah.
Yeah. Eman G did a Soul Grinder model. There was all like Chaos factions, Zine, Schnurgle, Core, and Slanesh. But there's one more thing. There was also the Cyber Demon from Doom Eternal, and they also like copyrighted them especially for that. What is highly fucking illegal because they don't own Doom Eternal. They still sue him over the Soul Grinder.
Wait, really?
Yeah, there was a cyber demon from Doom Eternal and GW because the the Soul Grinder he made was fucking awesome. They were jealous, and immediately their minds were, "Fuck, we're losing money. Let's sue him over that especially." But they didn't realize there was also Doom Eternal in that. What is highly fucking illegal? They can't do that. They're
Yeah.
still doing it.
How the hell? How the hell are they even attempting that?
The-
I have so many
Like
questions.
the thing is, it is in a pack. You can't just say, yeah, we're just doing it because of the our soul grinders. He's like giving them that whole package with all of the soul grinders, like the one from Doom Eternal also. They in my mind, if you ask me, they can't just do that because first of all, he's giving them for free. The supported versions are on Patreon, but as I said, everyone can support them because he's splitting them up in little pieces that makes them easier and
Right.
for printing better. Like if you don't have it big enough. Anyway, they can't do that. They're still doing it. It is highly fucking questionable because
Yeah. Real quick question, because again, I'm still confused about this. You said models like the Kraken were on Patreon but weren't on cults.
yeah,
So
because
if
they
they were
were
on Patreon, they were behind
supported.
a paywall.
It was still a work in progress.
But okay,
That's
so
the
it
thing.
wasn't done.
It wasn't done.
Okay, so to rephrase my
It is.
question then from earlier,
It,
were
if
there
you ask me,
any STL models that were unsupported that were of any miniature of GWs that were on the
yeah,
Patreon behind a paywall, again unsupported, and that weren't
only
free elsewhere?
yeah, yeah, there
Okay.
definitely were, but it was still work in progress because there was only one variant, and he mostly does like 3 or 4 variants.
Okay. So I will say with him putting out like that's the part that makes me back him up is him putting him up for free. It's definitely this is where I'm not a lawyer, so I can't comment. This would be an area where a lawyer would have to really comment in detail about. Is the gray area is he was putting up unique models behind the paywall. Now, if it's just supports, that's fine. That makes sense. And you could then make the argument, okay, he's not making money off the model because the model is free on Cults or Thingiverse or a similar 3D website. and that he's just selling the supports. That's can
Yeah, his
certainly act
own
as,
version.
yeah, I could certainly see that as a defense in court for him. I don't know how strong it would be. Um,
It is a strong
yeah,
defense, if you ask me.
the other part that's a strong defense for him is that GW doesn't have these models in their circulation of their own
Well,
models, which
yeah,
unfortunately that's no longer true because, well, we see the Bellacore model that
yeah.
is in their circulation, so he would be causing damages to them via Bellacore specifically. But
My
where that negative could be counteracted is with the cease and desist. Now earlier, again, apologies, names don't stick in my head very long. Chikai, who said he was also a Patreon, said that he did obey the cease and desist immediately with Colts and the models that were there, but it took him a while to take all the Patreon Warhammer models down. Is how true is that, and how long after the Colts removal did he obey the cease and desist on the Patreon?
It took him a while on Patreon because I guess it was like a shell shock because all of his work was like you need to put it down and he needed to back it up as I see it, but it took like a week, 2 weeks.
Okay. Okay, only 2 weeks. That's hardly anything.
In my opinion, because I'm a busy guy.
Oh, okay.
But
Well,
I'm frequently on his Patreon.
hmm. Well, going by that metric, that it was 2 weeks. Let's be a little harsher and say maybe 3 weeks.
January.
That's still very adherent to the cease and desist. Like that's a reasonable amount of time in my mind, both legally and morally, to obey the cease and desist. It just takes you a while to, clarify what files you want to keep for yourself, and obviously he has every right to have the models himself on his end. He just doesn't have the right to distribute them without the IP's permission necessarily, and again,
Yeah.
unless he makes alterations to them. So in my mind, he obeyed the cease and desist wholesale. So if he obeyed the cease and desist, I like it's even shittier for GW to still pursue a lawsuit against him because he obeyed the cease and desist. That's why I call this a frivolous lawsuit, is because they're still pursuing him legally despite the fact that he obeyed the cease and desist. A cease and desist, the whole point of it is to avoid a legal case. Like that's the point of a cease and desist. Like you send one out and you say, "Hey, stop, this is my copyrighted content, this is my IP, this is my stuff. I don't want you distributing it. This is a cease and desist, please stop." And if the person obeys the cease and desist, then there's no need for a lawsuit. The whole point of said lawsuit has been put null and void unless you can prove substantive damages due to his circulation of those models. Now, outside of Bellacore and maybe a couple others, the majority of his models were ripped from Total War, which that's an IP issue in itself, but that's more for Creative
Not
Assembly, I'd imagine.
necessarily.
Not necessarily?
Is inspired. We like to use the word inspired.
Okay, okay. Inspired by heavily by Total War Warhammer models. With
And
that,
can I ex yeah,
yeah, go
yeah?
ahead.
Uh, um Let me explain how he I can explain how he's doing that, the whole process if you want.
As long, well, I don't want you to say anything that'll get him in trouble.
No, 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 no.
Okay.
So he mostly he rips models or sculpts them he rips them from games, but they're low poly. They You can't print them like that. They look literally like in college student trying to do art. It looks dog shit. He is taking that like baseline and sculpts them into his work. It is not something he stole because it isn't even resembling that end product what we can see in games. He takes that, sculpts them, and is inspired by them because I must admit, mostly he is inspired like from Total War, but the stuff isn't 100% like Warhammer.
Hmm. Well, not that I. Okay, this is where not to sound like I'm chilling for GW a bit, but I'm just based on the models I have seen, they're very, very close to the models that we see officially, inspired or otherwise, in Total War, and therefore the Warhammer IP. So this is where, and I want to make this clear, I'm not siding with GW. Any chance to fuck them over, I'm behind. But I also have to be honest. And the process that you're talking about, like this is where I can kind of chime in from my own experience 3D modeling, both for the games industry for a short while when I worked in the indie scene, and also now when I model stuff for Warglaive. When it comes to I'll avoid using that word. When it comes to it being heavily inspired by a model in an existing game or an existing source, when you take an existing model that's been designed elsewhere by someone else and is connected to an IP, it's very dangerous to do that and then think, okay, well, if I just make a couple modifications, remove like one or two things here, therefore now it's mine. That is really great. Like, this is where I'm not a lawyer, so maybe that is enough. I know in U.S. law, that's enough to make it an argument in court. That's like any kind of alteration you make to a pre-existing polygon or pre-existing asset. It once you make a change, you then therefore open the door to it being debated under law in court, unless a prior precedent has been set for that exact thing. So let's say there's been another case out there that I don't know about that is someone else taking models from Total War or other games, and they download it, they make some alterations in whether it's Maya or Blender or 3ds Max or some other 3D software. You make some alterations, you remove some things, maybe resculpt some aspects, and then you put it up for sale or add it to your own game or do whatever. It's the degree of this is where the whole point of a court case, it's that degree of change that becomes argumentative in court. Now, whether you or me or anybody else, our opinion is that okay, he made some changes, therefore it's okay for him to put it up for free or do whatever he wants with. That's not entirely true. Like, again, I really, this is my recommendation for all 3D artists who might be watching this, and this is to Eman as well. Never, if you can avoid it, never take a pre-existing model and make changes to it. Start from the ground up modeling your own thing with your own saw, like from the basic shapes and polygons, because that's what I do, that's what a lot of artists do, and that's what will protect you in the long run from these kind of legal actions against you. Whether again I agree with the legal action or not, and by the sounds of it, he obeyed the cease and desist, so I'm still on his side. Like they're frivolously pursuing him despite the adherence to the cease and desist, so they're still in the wrong, absolutely. But I can't ignore the fact that he's heavily inspired by the models that he's seeing in games, and he's just making one or two changes. Hopefully, the court agrees that the changes are significant enough to not be in a breach of GW's IP. But this is a really, really gray area.
Yeah.
Again, I really don't want to defend GW in any way. They're, especially given how hypocritical they are about this kind of shit. They've stolen everything that the very foundations of their IPs exist on.
Judge Dredd, by the way.
Yeah, we can name off numerous things. They've stolen so much and made very little of their own thing.
Predator,
but
Alien.
I can't sit here and it's his process of making the miniatures. I'm saying it's the wrong one. Maybe it's unfair.
In his defense, the models that they are selling, they don't look like his free version. That's also a argument I hear, and I must say that doesn't matter. that much because if it's from your setting and if it's recognized mostly from other people that it is from your setting, then they can still sue you. And what I think is really shady because they were really awesome back in the day. You could make a custom like Steam tank and they would still recognize it and feature it in White Dwarf. We went from literally gigachats of hobbyists to scumbag of EA executives.
Oh yeah.
It is so sad because, all right, I'm gonna be honest. They are literally Warhammer stuff. It you can use them as models. A lot of people do. You can do the argument, but it's from Total War. Doesn't matter. It's still a bloodthirster. But still, he obeyed the cease and desist. He took it down. It was always in his priority. He always said that. If you asked him, he was never like okay with it. If you sell them, big no-no. He always said that he doesn't own them. He said that. But still, the argument is, why is GW doing that to their own fans? He did that out of compassion. He did that all out of the love of 3D printing because these models are not supported by GW anymore because Space Marines are all the stuff, baby. And that is really sad. Because Age of Sigma was not born because someone had an idea. Age of Sigma was born because someone saw the numbers, the selling numbers were pretty low. They didn't do anything to improve them, so they just nuked them. That is GW today. They don't give a fuck what they made, what the previous people made, by the way. The old people, they are gone. The gigachats, they are gone. They're only greedy executives. Old boomers that don't know shit about the fans. They're on all their yachts, and they just, yeah, copyright strike that for no reason.
Yeah. I agree for the
It's
most part.
heartbreaking, man. It is heartbreaking.
It is heartbreaking that they give such a. And the thing is, I could see them doing this if he was making money, like if he was locking stuff behind a paywall more than just supported minis. I could see the issue, but and the thing is, I would even at this point, especially after talking to you, I would say that the cease and desist is entirely fair. But
It
he
is.
adhered to,
It
and
is. I know.
if he hadn't adhered to the cease and desist, I could see them suing him, and I wouldn't be supporting him. But he did adhere to it. By your account, by his account, it might have taken him a week or two more to get all the Patreon stuff down, but he still took it down. He obeyed that
Well,
cease and desist, so that should have been the end of it. So
Also,
yeah, they're
also
definitely in the
that
wrong
wouldn't
for
make
suing
that
him.
also that wouldn't make a lick of his like a difference because there are a lot of pirated groups that just give them.
Hmm.
There are so many that just give the files. They're not gone. They are not gone. They are popular as ever, and a lot of pirated groups now support to his GoFundMe. What I think is really funny.
Yeah, and I still supported his GoFundMe because again, the lawsuit itself is frivolous. I think that cease and desist was valid now, though.
They're just doing it because he's competition.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like, there's no question why they're doing it. Like, they're because thing is, for them for this lawsuit to, and honestly, I don't even think they expect a lawsuit to work because they have to prove damages. Like, they have to prove, okay, hey, this is how much we lost due to these being circulated. There's no way for them to prove that, first of all, and second of all, they don't produce, well, other than the Bellicor one, that might be where they could prove something. But with most of those models, they don't produce them. Certainly not to that detail, not to that adherence.
Yeah.
So they can't sue them on the basis of damages. Definitely in the IP usage, but the biggest thing that's in his corner is that he adhered to the cease and desist. So I don't think that they expect to win the court case necessarily. They just want to drain him of money. They want to bully him into submission. And yes, the
Yeah.
motivation is very clear. He is a 3D modeler producing free STLs of their work. They
A guy,
they
a
want to
guy that
suppress him.
makes free models. We
Yeah.
must kill him. We must bankrupt him. Why? Because he hurts us. How? He makes free stuff. Okay. Like what the fuck?
Yeah, for them, this is a. I would say they don't even really care about Eman specifically. To them, this
They
is
don't care
their.
about the community
Yeah,
in general.
well, they don't care about the community in general. But what I mean is like they're through this action, they see this as attacking 3D printing and the STL stuff directly. Like they see it. I think they're looking at a big picture. They're trying to put the fear of God into everybody who's creating STL variants of their work or of their universe. They're trying through this to scare people. And I would say for anybody out there, now again, Emanji definitely made a couple mistakes for sure. And again, the cease and desist was warranted, in my opinion. But he adhered to it. Again, that aside, to any 3D modelers out there making STLs or making variants of Warhammer models, whether that's fantasy, whether it's 40k, old world versus Age of Sigmar, doesn't matter. Make sure you're not heavily inspired by or ripping models from like Total War, for example. Model the stuff from the ground up using basic polygons, like using basic stuff. Like I'm not I don't mean to use myself as some prime example because I'm that great or anything, but in my case, whenever I start working on a model for Warglaive or for any of the stuff I did when I was in the indie game industry, I always started with reference images and artwork, like 2D artwork on the side on one monitor, and in ZBrush or Blender or whatever 3D software I was using, I built it from the ground up using basic polygons. And I always added my own flair, I always added my own details. That's the safest way, and always do your best to deviate in major ways if you can from the original designs. So if you're making a Space Marine, a stand-in for a Space Marine, make sure to completely change the shape of the head, completely change how the helm looks, alter the pauldrons in some way, give it some kind of variation that is clearly still going to be usable for a Warhammer game, but has no direct copyrightable elements that you can directly attach or detach that GW can attack with anyway. So yeah, generally speaking, don't don't take an existing model and just alter it a little bit. Start from the ground up, build it from the ground up, and make it your own, because they will go after you if they have any excuse to.
Hey, Asmogan, let me tell you about their legal team because they are dumb. There was this guy. He made it looked like Grimgore Ironhide, but it wasn't. It looked more like a World of Warcraft orc. GW seized the system. It made no sense. He had metal, yeah. It looked like an orc from Warhammer, but it was clearly inspired. They still copyrighted him and cease and desisted him, and he couldn't even appeal it because he didn't have any money. He couldn't even fight a law case. That's so fucking scummy. They just attack anyone.
Uh, quick. Wait, are we still talking about Eman G? Or are we talking about?
Not in general. The
Oh, no.
the the legal team, the copyright for 3D modeling.
Okay.
They just attack random people.
I mean, yeah, it's anyone they can use as a stepping stone to suppress the 3D printing community. Like that's what all this is about.
And most of the time they can't even fight against it. That's so sad.
Well, yeah, they're not gonna they're picking their targets carefully. They're not gonna go after people who can mount a proper defense.
But thankfully, we are waking up. Even the normies are slowly waking up that GW is essentially not anymore there. It's a shell of a former self.
I
Because
mean,
in my hobby stores, a lot of shills, and I have a lot of them, they are waking up. What is really funny to see because they were like GW can't do anything wrong, and then next week, yeah, I fucking hate that company.
yeah. I mean, for me, it's definitely very hard to call myself a Warhammer fan these days, and I will always be a fan of Warhammer 40k. Like that's I've all the books I've read, all of the investment I put into it. I'll always love it, but I can certainly never invest in the company ever again. Like they've done so much evil objectively in the last few years. It's just yeah, I can't defend them.
Do you have any other questions about Imagy?
Let's see. We went over the Patreon. Wait, I confirmed with you the attached details. I'm just trying to think. Crap. I think I had a question, but it slipped my brain. I mean, I guess one question I could ask is, do you know how he's holding up? You say you know him personally.
Well, I talked to him because of 3D modeling, what his process is, and he did guides that he also I think took down because it could look like he is instigating that.
Hmm.
I couldn't find any more, but currently he is in extreme debt. He is like 40,000, uh, like 50K in debt.
Yeah, that's all due to the legal fees, right?
Yeah, yeah, the lawyer fees and stuff.
Damn.
His parents were really alarmed and scared, and poor guy just like, oh, don't worry, I'm not going to jail. I'm just gonna get infinitely in debt because of that one company I am a fan of. Like, it's really sad, man. He is in debt, but he's holding up. He's also unemployed, by the way.
Eesh.
I don't
Well,
know because of stress, because of GW itself, but if you ask me,
was he employed before all this was going
yeah,
down?
yeah, yeah,
Oh, okay. So he lost his job, or
yeah.
he? Okay.
I think because of stress.
Yeah. I mean,
Um,
I can't
yeah.
imagine the like the. I will say one of the most stressful things is definitely like lawsuits like this. They take the hell out of you.
Let me tell you something. Yeah. Also, he openly said just the stress because of the lawsuits, it's killing him. He said that openly,
Yeah.
and poor guy. I don't know. I don't want to see him like do, you know, jump off, because he can't pay,
Yeah.
It's let me tell you something. What I think is the scummiest. He, yeah, his models are really high quality. They are blatantly copies of their IPs. There are people who one to one make models. They are still on codes. They're still on my mini factory. They're still heavily inspired by so much that it is literally Gilliman, it is literally Vulcan from Forge World. They are still on my mini factory. They're still online. They're still selling them. Imagy never sold his models. They're just not that popular. And they're good quality, by the way. I own many of them. It is literally a message. It is not because of money, because there was never money involved. It is because 3D printing is getting popular. Why is it getting popular? Oh no, we made fans angry again. Fuck 'em, more Primaris. That is the thing. It is getting popular. And that's why. they are attacking. It is not because of EMG, it is not because of IP use, maybe, yeah, but old GW would care. They would feature you in a magazine. Meanwhile, like LGBTQ painters are featured in White Dwarf. What I have nothing against, but I
I
think
I will
it
I
is
will I will clarify a little bit. When you say old GW, how old we talking? Like we talking from like the 80s and 90s? Because
2000s, like 80s and 2000s.
then yeah, they absolutely would still do this. Like,
No, no, no,
oh
no,
yes,
no.
they would. GW have been litigious for a long time.
Dude, they featured a 3D printed army,
They
and they
did
knew it.
well. They didn't know it at the time, didn't they?
Yeah, but then they knew, but still didn't take it off.
I'm sorry, man. To say that they wouldn't do this before now, like
All right, old. Okay, okay, okay. Fair, fair. Old GW, OG GW.
yeah.
Like
If you want to talk like 80s and 90s, like the much older crowd, maybe they would have been far more forgiving. But the
GW put out guides how to make a steam tank out of
yeah,
like deodorant. They did that. They were fucking awesome back in the day. They featured like models that were not from them, but still were inspired by their IP, and they still featured it.
yeah.
Al-
Man,
Also,
I do gotta. I don't mean to cut you off too much, but we've been going
yeah,
for
no,
like
no worries, no
yeah.
worries, no worries.
I appreciate you being on and giving some clarifications. I do. I hope
Yeah,
you have a great day, and I also hope EMNG makes it through this.
yeah, man.
Yeah. Sorry. But you have a good one, okay?
Yeah, bye.
Holy shit. Let me catch up with the chat a little bit here. Roberto Sabato, welcome to stream. Raven Wolfgar, Caboose. I saw you earlier with the super chat, but I want to thank you for that and also welcome you. English Kriegsman, Fox Troika. AJ Ratcliffe. The rat's here. Oh, I love it when the rat shows up. If you're making money by copying someone else's IP, you're going to draw their attention. Big case of fuck around, find out. Again, we've gone over this. Although to be fair, to that point, a little bit of a little bit of that got hit here. But for the all the models were free on Colts, with the exception of work in progress ones on the Patreon. The only thing that was behind a paywall was the supports. So legally speaking, the argument there is he wasn't making money off the model or the IP break, but he was making money off the supports. So good to see the rat was here though. For those who don't know AJ Ratcliffe, he's a regular who keeps coming back to my channel. The guy essentially is a corporate bootlicker and shill. He'll constantly defend. He's also, I think he's a Wokey, but I can't remember if he's defended woke points specific. No, he did, because if I'm not mistaken, Ratcliffe is also the one who like I remember I had an argument with him over them for the Magic the Gathering stuff. He was defending that they made Aragorn black. Yeah, yeah. I love it when the rat comes by. Oh God, gotta love the rat. You hear him skittering through. All right. So make sure Eman did not say he returned to war. It was one of his many was to go. All right. Anything in chat? They want their new modern audience. They can keep them. The last fuck them from Asmogan's latest video felt so raw. I mean, it was for me. Like, I'm at a point where I'm at a point where I'm pretty much done with covering Warhammer on the channel. Not entirely. Obviously, I'm gonna keep covering the news around it, but I don't know. Like, Well, when I say that, I'm done with new Warhammer. For all Warhammer I cover on the channel, it's no longer like their latest stuff. I've completely cut myself off from anything new that they make. So any lore videos I make, they're gonna be based on pre-2016 stuff for the most part, with a couple of exceptions. But yeah, for the most part, it's just their old lore and stuff that I'll cover on the channel. Obviously, the Voxwork podcast, we talk about the old stuff that we love and the true Warhammer that we love. Yeah, but for right now, I'm thinking about one thing I'm definitely thinking about refocusing on is Warglaive. Well, not that I haven't been focusing on that, but more so in the background, get even more done on it. Because honestly, it doesn't feel great to constantly talk about Warhammer, but always having to put the addendums in. You know, it's like, oh, by the way, I'm not talking about the latest stuff. I'm talking about the old stuff. It doesn't feel good to constantly have to remind yourself that it's no longer good. It's all shit. It just sucks. Yeah. I've been at a fuck the company for a long time though. Long fucking time. Alright, pulling in our next actually Nostalgia Vivek. I hope you don't mind. I'm gonna pull in Caboose first, because oh, Sprite and Smite, thank you so much. Why is someone like DMG who copies from scratch less morally dubious than people who rip models from video games? Different process, same result. Why is someone like DMG? Who's DMG? So I know. Also, thank you for the super chat. But who's DMG? One page rules is just better value. True. By the way, if anyone's looking for a Warhammer alternative, one page rules. Full stop. One page rules. I've printed off a whole dwarf one page rules army. I can't wait to play that at some point. One page rules. Absolutely. They have some of the best sculpts and also their own rule sets and everything. Go there. DMG is a beast though. Love his work. DMG minis. Great. Okay, so it's a 3D creator. I got that much. Why is like someone like DMG who copies from scratch less morally dubious than people who are... Because when you copy from scratch, well, copy in air quotes, when you work on a model from scratch, you can make alterations that are... I haven't seen DMG stuff, so give me a second to look that up. DMG minis. Yeah, so if we go to DMG minis, oh, it's on Etsy. Okay. So the reason that he can get away with his models is because of the alterations he makes. So off the bat, I'm looking through his stuff, and though if you just glance at it, it does look identical to something that to a GW design, none of these models are based on an existing model that DMG has. Sorry, that Warhammer has. At least I don't think so. These are sculpted from the ground up, so the sculpt is unique to him. And as long as he doesn't label it anything to do with Warhammer, they can't get him on anything. Like as long as you don't put in the name of it or the description of it, oh, this is a Grey Knight or this is a Black Templar from Warhammer. As long as you play the game, the semantics game of, oh well, the model is entirely unique. It's based on nothing in particular. GW can be like, but look at it. It looks just like one of our things. But is it like your thing? Can you show me any of your models that look exactly like this? Well, no, none of our models are that detailed. Oh, okay then. Because I have proof I modeled this from the ground up. It's my original design. But it's clearly based on Warhammer. Did I say that anywhere? No, I didn't. And because of that, GW can't hit him. That's why my advice earlier is so important. Again, not to stroke my own ego at all. Hey, Lady Rune Song. But why is it so important to model it from the ground up? Because when you model it from the ground up, you add your own details, you add your own aspects, you make alterations. And despite the fact that it might look very close to something that they have, those little variations, those little deviations, those extra details, all the little things that you do when you model it from the ground up make it your own and make it something that GW or any litigious company can't really go after in any significant way. Again, it can look really close to some of their shit, but you have proof that you designed it from the ground up, and again, it doesn't look identical or in many ways similar to their exact sculpts, so you can get away with it. That's why you do that. That's why you don't do what Eman was doing, which is he was heavily inspired by Total War Warhammer models, and then he made some alterations to those sculpts and then put them up. You can't do that, because at that point, they have proof that not only did you not design it from the ground up, so you can't play the defense of, okay, but it may look very similar, but I have proof I designed it from the ground up. He doesn't. He didn't, because he didn't. He took something that was caught. Now, granted, my weird thing is, this is just me, and I'd have to ask a lawyer about this. This is less a question for some, like a supporter of Eman or even a detractor. But I'd have to ask a lawyer, like, the legality of them claiming the models that were used for Total War. Because wouldn't that be Creative Assembly that would have to be the ones copyright claiming that? Because those are their models. Not that I want Eman to get in more trouble, but that is a genuine question I have. Like, wouldn't that be the thing? The only thing I could think of is maybe the models were made by Total War, like the Creative Assembly, but GW owns the copyright. That's my assumption. So the models, though made by Total War and are again, I'd have to ask a lawyer. Fuzon Zord, welcome to stream. Biggest problem is that vast majority of people are refusing to get into non-Warhammer 40k stuff that is reasonably priced, and STL makers are often forced to infringe a DW IP to have audience stall, which is true. That is very true, Fuzon, and that is an existing problem. In my case, I'm safe. Like, the stuff I'm making is for my own setting, so my designs aren't even remotely a copy or a replication of other things. And not to show my own stuff too much, but just to give an example of some of the stuff I've worked on in the past. Yeah, again, this is not intentionally a shill for Warglaive Gothic, which is the tabletop war game I'm developing and setting. It's not just the game. It's actually mostly lore I'm working on right now. Let me speed up my thing here. Boom. Yeah, so with my process, when I develop a model, like so, it's from the ground up, like with basic polygons from a 2D design done by my artist Pyrrhus, who by the way is amazing. I owe that man so much. But when it comes to 3D modeling, I don't take an existing model and make some little alterations, because that's asking to be hit with some kind of copyright or IP or some level of attack on you. That's what that always kind of leads to. So generally speaking, if I can give major advice to 3D modelers, designers, artists, do what I did here. Probably better than I do here. Like, I'm out of practice. But, take your own stuff and design it from the ground up with basic polygons. Obviously have reference art, but that you commission and that you're not ripping from something else. And even if you are ripping from something else, do what DMG did. DMG, he took designs and clear inspirations of Warhammer, but because he designed it from the ground up, he got to add all these little things. He got to add all these little variations and designs. He got to do stuff to it to make it look unique, to make it look like his own thing. So that way, like GW, as litigious as they are, don't have much grounds to go after him for it. Yeah, so just to skip ahead in the design process here. Yeah, so from the ground up, from where you guys saw I started with just spheres and these, I want to say poles for some reason, these spheres and these cylinders, came out a design that looked like this. And this is a Warglaive creature, by the way. So yeah, I'm making my own IP. So I'm perfectly safe from GW or other sorts coming after me, because they can't. I own the copyright and the trademark of all the stuff I'm producing. Yeah, some of my stuff is inspired by other things, but I've changed the designs. I've altered it so it is my own. That's the thing I think a lot of 3D artists should think of doing. Obviously, I don't think like every 3D artist should be like, okay, I got to make my own IP, but find IPs that are less litigious if you're gonna make variations of them, or design things that are, if you determine, like, let's say you're determined to make Warhammer miniatures, find and create designs from the ground up that might be close but look different enough that they have no grounds to go after you. Because you got to be very careful, especially with GW, which they are the EA at this point of the wargaming space. They're actually worse in some ways. But yeah. Yeah. I remember when I 3D printed this. This was such a pain in the ass. This is back when I had my ponytail. I still have that. I still got to fix that. Both my 3D printers have something wrong with them. One of them I have to replace the FEP screen. The other one I have to replace the. Oh god. But yeah, I 3D modeled this from the ground up. It's my design. It's my copyright. This is definitely the safer way to go. Although, if I can recommend something, don't make the rookie mistake I made with this one. I forgot to hollow it out, so I used way more resin on that than I intended. Alright, so I was going to pull in Caboose. Caboose. There he is. Alright. Let me... Dick biter. Well, actually, size-wise, this thing is huge. It's called this is a Gretsch Tomb Maker. These things are big. Like for example, that's a 60 millimeter base. I've decreased the size a little bit. They're not that big, but this is a 60 millimeter base. So the original prototype design was much bigger than. And to be fair, the Tomb Makers do have variation in sizes, but the current one is they fit on a 40 millimeter base and they kind of pop out of it. Actually, they're actually really cool. Yeah, I do really appreciate Purist though for like helping me out with like the concept art as I've been developing these. But anyway, enough shilling my own stuff. Let me pull in Kidis. Spoilers, it's just a baby. I will say they're very big. All right, let me pull in Caboose. All right, Caboose, how you doing? Hello? Oh, are you on Android? Yeah, I wish Discord would fix that. Like, Android has this weird feature where if you're like pulled in or out of calls, that it for some reason disconnects you. Well, it doesn't disconnect you. That's the sad thing. It actually connects you.
The tension and what's the most transparent.
Ow, my ears. Alright, Caboose, I'm gonna give you a temporary host status. So hang up and rejoin the call, if you can hear me. Alright, he hung up.
Hello?
There we go. So yeah, you're on Android.
There we go. Yeah, that whole
Yeah.
gotta make money thing.
Freaking Androids. I wish Discord would fix that feature.
I know. It's dumb.
Yeah.
But yeah, that guy you had on your first guest,
Yeah.
basically, to quote Karn, did the Fallout thing of putting a grenade in a friendly NPC's pocket while sneaking.
He certainly said some things that I wouldn't have said.
He basically admitted that. He ripped it from the game. I'm like, you mean the game that uses scans of GW models to make the game? You mean that? Yeah.
Well,
know.
one thing I will say is he is not the man being sued, and he is just a proclaimed friend. So anything he says is not necessarily admonition of Emanji and what he is currently going through. And yeah, so anything he says is plausibly deniable.
Well, he gave money, so
I hear what I'm saying, please.
I know. But it's just like, really? Why are you saying this out loud?
Plausible
Yeah,
deniability.
you know, a lot of their old IP, you don't see, again, you don't see them going after people doing Battlefleet Gothic. But as soon as
No.
Battlefleet Gothic comes back, if it comes back, you better believe, oh, you're infringing on our IP. And honestly, they picked on a kid with no money, no job, no way to legally defend himself properly to any degree, just so they could get a court win to go after every other 3D printer and modeler on the face of the planet that just happens to make models in 1/48th scale or whatever the fuck the scale is. Sorry, language. The scale is of GW's models. They're going to use this as a precedent to basically said, oh, well, all 3D modeling should be banned because it's all infringing on our IP. Consequently, going to get laughed out of court because you can't stop the internet. GW tried that once.
They're gonna try a few more times. They're stubborn.
GW's going to learn one way or another that this isn't going to fly anymore. But it's our IP. He's infringing. I'm like, yeah, no. It's one of those things is, you're going after this 3D modeler kid because it's easier than trying to go after the Chinese recasters, the China-Russia recasters.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Well, there's no legal recourse. There's no such thing as IP protection in China or Russia. But, it's like, you knew what you were doing. You were making models. And it's odd. Why is it this kid that gets pinched and not the other people that have literal one-on-one models? Like just a scan of models on these websites. How did he get pinched?
My best guess is now the easy answer is just bad luck that he was the one that got noticed and somehow the others didn't. I don't know exactly how E-Man put up and obviously they're not up on Colts 3D right now, so I can't see how he did it, but it depends on how you tag them. A lot of people are smart with like the 3D modeling space, to give credit to a lot of 3D modelers. They do the smart thing. They don't label any of their stuff Warhammer. They might tag it with Warhammer, but they'll tag it with like 30 other things for plausible deniability. And then like the actual name of the model might be, oh, super big guy, and then it's like a freaking Titan or something. Like they'll do stuff like that believe it or not, a lot of people might think that's stupid. It's actually clever because little stuff like that gives deniability.
Yeah,
even if you make one for ones.
It's inspired by, looks kind of similar, but it's totally not.
Yeah, and some of them are also really smart with like the thumbnail pictures. Like they'll pick something or an angle of the model that doesn't look like the copyrighted or IP accurate version. But then if you like download the model, you'll get like the one for one. So there's a lot of smart workarounds that a lot of 3D modelers have done to subvert the system. My guess is, and this is just a guess, I do not know if this is the case because I wasn't there, but my guess is Emanji might have made the mistake of not only tagging it Warhammer, but also not doing anything smart with the thumbnails, just showing how the model looked, and also might have even made the mistake of naming them too close to the real thing, or even worst of all, actually naming the model after the real thing. If he did that, then that's probably why they caught him.
It's unfortunate he got pegged because he's not going to win. He's going to be kept in litigious purgatory until he can no longer try to defend himself and has to give up, and GW wins by default.
Yeah.
And, yes, GW plagiarizes a lot of shit. A lot of stuff is inspired by, and the whole trying to trademark Pauldron and Space Marine and Imperial Guard and all that whatnot is bullshit on their end, but they've changed enough of it to make it their own. And that's the thing. Change enough of an inspiration to make it your own. Don't one-on-one.
Oh yeah. And that's again why I stress you should never do what, again, I don't want to sink him too hard, but you should never do what Emanji did, which is you take an existing asset like from Total War, which he didn't do, he was heavily inspired by, but you should never do that. You should never take that existing asset that is directly attached to the IP and therefore the copyright. What you should do is you might be aiming to make something that look like that, but you should model from the ground up. From basic polygons and basic sculpting, model up to what you're looking for. Because that way you might accidentally make the thing look completely different and get away with it. Like that's how you do that. That's how you do not breach IP or copyright, and while still making the thing you're aiming to make.
Yeah, and it's like how the other quote unquote modelers and all that whatnot aren't getting sued. Like the Chapter House lawsuit, they lost that one badly because just you can't go after somebody making spare parts. It's just like my favorite 3D modeler. I'm not going to mention him because I don't want him to get hit. But he makes his own stuff that's cool enough. Yeah, can you use him for the 40K? No, but he has his own rule set and lore for his stuff. So yes, you can use it for 40K as a counts as army or a highly stylized army, but it's its own thing. It's just, GW is very much a boomer company. And I hate to say that considering I'm practically Gen X myself. But GW is going to have to face the fact that 3D printing isn't going to go anywhere. And their IP is slowly slipping through their hands because, one, their old fans aren't coming back. Two, their new fans don't buy shit. They say they're going to buy shit and be like, I don't care about Warhammer. I'm not buying this. And then fuck off to the other side of whatever else they want to infest and make their own now, quote unquote.
Yeah, because they're not fans.
No, they're not fans. They're IP bandits.
Yep.
They come into fandoms to claim, oh, well, this, and this need to change because it's not inclusive enough. Cool, are you going to buy models? No, this is nerd shit. Then why did you come here to begin with? And the thing about the 3D printed army that was featured in GW, they didn't know it was 3D printed.
Yeah, that was... I wasn't sure if Evie was talking about a different... Because the thing is, he mentioned 3D printed. The army in question, if it's the one I'm thinking of, like I reported on one of these in a video of mine a while back. If it's the one I'm thinking of, that army wasn't even 3D printed. It was recasted. Some of it was 3D printed, like a couple of them were, but for the most part, it was recast.
A lot of it was recasts.
Yeah, he said maybe one or two like that's the funniest part was he said maybe one or two minis was GW specific. Legit. Everything else wasn't.
It's a joke. The GW always has been a joke with their IP, and I thought Chapter House did win that lawsuit, but it goes. I don't know, but there are enough resellers out there and enough people doing their stuff, counts as or stuff that people have been asking GW to do, but they don't do. But you make shoulder pad with scary skull for Iron Warriors. That's how you brand it. Scary skull shoulder pad or toilet seat covers shoulder pad.
Yeah, that's how you work the system. You make sure not to tag things too closely or name things too closely, and again, also play with the thumbnails. Like if you're going to do a close or near 1-to-1 for something that is IP controlled, be smart about how you advertise it, if at all. Lucas von Karstein, who was my first guest, says, I was not outing his work methods. He himself said how he is making his models on Archcast. Also, I am not his friend. I asked him how he is making his models, that's all. Exactly. It was speculative.
The guy shot himself in the foot on Archcast, man. I don't listen to Arch.
Wait, was he on Archcast? I thought he was just on Side Scrollers. Did I miss the Archcast?
Yeah, I think maybe Archcast yesterday he was on. I don't know.
Well, let me take a look.
It's GW doesn't care about its fans. It cares about the Twitter sphere.
It does not look like he was on the Archcast. Yeah, because the latest live stream is our word is funny when it's done to men. Nintendo is evil and Acolyte is horny. Yeah, it doesn't seem like they're talking about it there. They might have talked about it in the middle of that, maybe, but there's no episode that's advertised for it.
It was Side Scrollers he was on.
Yeah.
It's just, the kid's screwed no matter what.
Hey Oddball, hey Asmogan, where have the Super Base World interviews with Middleman, etc. gone? They're all on the channel. What? They haven't been taken down, have they? No, they're right on the channel. Yeah, if you just go to the channel page and go to live, they should be right there. Right? Can you guys see them? They better not have shadow banned them. I'll be pissed. Yeah. Well, anyway. But yeah.
I feel bad for the kid. He should have been smarter, but unfortunately, he got nabbed at the wrong time, and he's not going to win, and he's not going to be able to pay this back. Wow. And GW being this litigious they're going to lose more fans.
Yeah. I will say, when it comes to the actual lawsuit, he does have a solid chance to win, because the key, at least, again, I'm not a lawyer, but from my really juvenile understanding of law, he obeyed the cease and desist. And
he didn't obey it quick enough. And that's what they're going to argue.
It depends. I haven't seen the cease and desist. So if the cease and desist did give him a time frame, it's like, okay, you need to have all your stuff off the web and all your platforms by this date, and he didn't obey the date, then yeah, he's screwed. But if they didn't give him a specific date, then he can make the argument in court, hey, I was given the cease and desist, and I obeyed it. Yes, it took me a couple of weeks, but I did obey it. So he can make the argument of the lawsuit being frivolous because he did adhere to the cease and desist. That is his biggest and most major stone on which he has to stand.
a lot of IP cease and desists, just from generally what I've seen. Granted, again, not a lawyer, usually say effective immediately.
Yeah, effective immediately. If he's the thing is, again, I'm not a lawyer, but that's not a specific date. So a defense attorney can say, yes, my client received the cease and desist and adhered to it, and the prosecutor could be like, oh yes, but it says effective immediately. Then the defense attorney can counter with saying, effective immediately is not a deadline. It is, we want you to take measures and to, as soon as possible, remove all of our material. If he can prove that well, first of all, he can definitely prove he immediately adhered via the cult stuff, and as long as he has some kind of excuse that hopefully will hold up under scrutiny of why the stuff in the Patreon took a couple extra weeks, he can put that up as his defense in court. He can be like, okay, I adhered to it immediately for where I could, and for the stuff that took a little extra time, here's why. And if he has an excuse that he can back up some way, somehow, or at the very least holds up under scrutiny, that can still be the basis for him countering the lawsuit. I consider it all down to the details. Yeah, not being a lawyer. So it definitely it's going to come down to semantics probably.
It's going to come down to semantics. At the same time, they're going to keep him in legal purgatory. They're going to do what Disney does. Keep people in legal purgatory long enough to bankrupt them.
Yeah, I think that's really where they're going to get him. I don't think they're going to, at least I hope they're not going to win the actual case, but I think what they're aiming, I don't even think that's their aim. I think they're aiming to bankrupt him. They're trying to drag him, they're putting him on the torture wheel for public display to anybody else making like 3D models for.
Yeah, and nobody's going to listen to GW. Oh, if you make 3D models that look like our stuff, like 90% of the people in the world are going to go, yeah, fuck you. They're already out there. You can't stop the internet. You can't stop the internet. 3D printing is here to stay, and you are not going to get rid of it.
Yeah.
And it's. I donated to the kids' GoFundMe. I don't think he has a shot in hell, because they're like, I think they're going to keep him in legal purgatory permanently.
Probably.
And it's when 40K got started and all that whatnot, the science fiction community didn't go litigious against them. They didn't get sued by Dune. They didn't get sued by Starship Troopers. They did it because it was a collaborative effort to get science fiction, all that what out there. And now GW has, oh, well, this is my toy. I'm going to sue the pants of you because fuck you. Sorry, dude, that's not how this works. You can be inspired by Dune, but you're just a ripoff of Dune. It was out before you. It's like when the Space Marine video game came out. People were calling it a what is it? Gears of War ripoff. It's, you can be inspired by stuff. You can almost make it look alike, but don't rip models and change. Oh, well, I changed these 2 strands of hair on the faceplate of the on the face of the model and call it my own, but everything else is, an exact 1-for-1 replica of something.
Well, believe it or not, like changes like that do open the door for legal argument. And I know a lot of that irritates the hell out of a lot of people, but it's the truth. Believe it or not, all you need to make a court case out of something is make any change whatsoever. Will you win? Probably not. But to open the door to a legal debate, you just need to make any kind of change whatsoever.
And
the likelihood you'll win depends on the degree of change.
And you got to make the thing going forward. If he wins, this is going to be an open door against GW and 3D printing. How are you going to monetize 3D printing with your company? How could GW monetize 3D printing in STLs? Because once an STL is out there, it's out there. It's a file.
Yeah. There is no way for them to the STL itself. There's no way for them to there's no way for them to protect that. Financially speaking, the only thing that they can do to make money off of 3D printing is to sell like the other aspects of it. Like if they were to start producing 3D printers themselves, the resin for it, if they were, and then they were to sell the STLs on the side or provide them, that's the only way they could make money doing it. But the thing is, who the fuck wants to buy 3D printers from GW? Who the fuck wants to buy the resin from them? Because you know that they would overprice the shit out of it. Like they would make a 3D printer that's equal in quality to like an Lego Mars 3 Pro, but they would triple the price, and then nobody would fucking want to buy it.
Yeah, it's 3D printing with tabletop games is never going to go away now. It's a cat that's out of the bag, and the fact that GW has the balls to go after somebody for 3D printing and 3D modeling when they have had numerous 3D printed models, official models, just announced models that are 3D printed on their websites, it is unbelievably ballsy to me. It's like you 3D print your models. You 3D model your models. And then people are like, oh, no, they don't. I'm like, oh, really? The Rogel Dorn. That was 3D printed and 3D modeled. And it's just...
JP Gotterer Kits says, why are you keeping cats in bags? That seems cruel. But yeah. I agree with you, man. Like, the cat is out of the bag. And all these suppression methods GW is currently using, I do think that, I hate to say this, but I do think that this is going to have an impact. I do think that this is going to make a lot of people hesitant. But in the long run, is this going to stop people from making 3D models of their stuff? No. Is this going to slow it down long term? No. This is a short term thing where I think for a little while people are going to think twice about approaching like making stuff for GW. Well, not for GW, but of their IP stuff. But again, like, this is me. If you want to do that, you can. There is a foolproof way to do that and give them pretty much no quarter to legally go after you. Design the models from the ground up, and don't be too close in inspiration to their design.
And don't use, one-on-one naming that you can easily get found out. It's like Angry Man shoulder pad, toilet bowl shoulder pad. Floofy Mohawk helmet man.
Name it something obtuse, but something relatively close that people can find. But like you just gotta be smart about how you approach it, and you can do that. But the other thing is obviously not everyone can do what I'm doing, which is make your own IP. But certainly look at people who are like let's say you're a 3D modeler and you want it in on Warglaive and you want it to work for me. You may not make as much money as selling the STLs yourself, but if you want it, like, obviously I don't have the money for that right now, but let's say in the future I start making a lot of money and I start looking for other artists to work on models for me, I can pay you a one-time sum or something like that for the STL. Like, look for people who are making IPs that need 3D designers and artists to help them with a workload. Offer your services. Now, again, you won't make anywhere near as much money as if you were to design a model yourself and then sell it $3, $4 a pop. But you could certainly make some money from the one-time, like, commission. Like, that is a thing that I'd recommend to artists to look for on. And also, when it comes to designing your own minis, design stuff as unique as you possibly can. Obviously, you're going to be inspired by things, but don't stick too close to something else. And again, the biggest advice I can possibly give, and I've said it before and I'm going to stress it again, don't do what some have done and download the models from a video game and slightly alter it and pose it and think you're fine. Even if you put it up for free, you're not. To call that shaky ground is being nice. That is just dangerous. that is way too close. In fact, saying too close, it is the thing that you're ripping from. So that is going to get you in trouble. It's way safer to just design it from the ground up.
I'm actually quite shocked that GW hasn't tried to go after Space King.
Oh no, that's a great example of something built from the ground up that they can't. The designs are nothing like their Space Marines. The aesthetic is nothing like 40K. Believe it or not, there's nothing for them to attach to on that. Like, to call that a frivolous suit would be cartoonish.
That would be more than frivolous. That would be a dumb.
You wouldn't even need a lawyer for that. Like the
no.
what are the...
You got to remember, this is GW.
Yeah, parody is also
off
protected.
Dumber stuff.
Yeah, but it's not even just parody.
No.
Like, the aesthetic and the design, everything about Space King is not only a little different, it's vastly different from... There's nothing for them to attach to. The two guys behind...
Tell it's heavily inspired by.
Oh yeah, you can tell it's inspired by, but you can't... There's nothing legal there. And inspired by is protected.
The studio that made Bluey.
Well, in Bluey's case... I don't know what Australian law looks like, to be fair, with copyright, but with Bluey, didn't they take like the exact like design of the Bluey characters?
That and they did the Australian studio hit it because people didn't want to get it confused because it was damn so close. It's just like Warner Brothers taking down that Bugs Bunny parody from Meat Canyon. It is now considered 100% canon in the lore.
All right, man. Thank you for coming on. We have been going for a while, so I'm going to pull on the next person, but thank you.
Yep. No, dude. I'll talk to you later. Have a good one.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Ooh, my neck. I'm an old man. The FU unit. My arm's all itchy for some reason. Probably got bit by a mosquito. Mentats and Servitors, Leto, and the 2-second, the Golden Path, Sardur Karn, Lasguns. What? Do you think Major Kill will help out too because GW? Probably not. Probably not, to be honest. Major Kill tends to stay out of shit when it's like a shaky ground like this situation is. I don't know as if I could blame him for that, but he tends to stay out of shit if he doesn't see like a major benefit to himself. And I don't think he'd see a major benefit getting involved in this. And as for his like 3D models and stuff, I've seen a couple of them. Aren't they like... They're pretty different from GW stuff. They look like they're designed from the ground up, so I think he's probably safe. What I wonder is when GW is going to go after lore videos, like at this point, what's the difference between YouTuber with hundreds of thousands of subscribers and a rival publisher? The difference is, well, it's a couple-fold. First of all, if they go after lore tubers, they're going to kill off the core advertisement for their universe. Like, every lore tuber is advertising their books and all of 40K for free. And on some level, I'm pretty sure GW recognized that. So going after them and like taking down their videos would be not only... There would be no benefit to them. Like they think going after 3D models is beneficial. Because if they go after 3D models, the benefit in their mind is, okay, we're going to kill a competitor that's stealing money from us directly. Like they produce the models. They don't really produce their own lore videos. And the Warhammer Plus stuff really isn't a replacement for that at all. They don't really have their own lore content. So that wouldn't benefit them at all. Secondly, there's no real legal recourse. Because for you to go after like a YouTuber, right? You have to prove damages. And you have to prove copyright infringement. There's no copyright infringement of a YouTuber talking about lore. Like, that opens up a precedent of, Like, let's say you record yourself, but you just like you at like a party or something, right? But you and a friend happen to be talking about Lord of the Rings, right? And you're just talking about like, oh, I love it when Frodo and Sam go to the top of the mountain, and you know you're just having a conversation, but you're discussing the lore. But you can't go over that, can't go after that by copyright. You can't copyright people discussing something. Now, if someone is reading off an exact segment from a book, that is copyrighted. Like the book's writing is copyrighted. So if someone is reading off a segment of it, you can go after that. Would that win in court? Probably not, actually. Believe it or not. Why? Because it's not a replacement for the whole novel. If you read a segment from a book, it's not the same thing. A segment is protected under fair use because it's not a replacement wholesale for the original product, and nor is a lore video, because the lore videos oftentimes simplify or add their own opinions or add their own spin on the lore. It's not a direct one-for-one, I'm reading off the book. That's what like a rival publisher would do. A rival publisher would steal like whole segments of a book, if not like a whole book, and just change some names, right? That's copyrightable. That's IP breach. But discussing lore on its own. So I'm just taking off my headset for a second. I'm going to pull in Nostalgia Vivek in a second here. It's just my headsets are making my head hot. But yeah, there's no recourse for a lore video. There's nothing there to attach to. There's nothing there to go after. I mean, I would love it if they tried, because that'd be hilarious. You don't even need a lawyer to throw that out of court. You could just go to the judge and go, this is the thing that they're saying I'm stealing from, and this is the script of my video, or this is the transcript of my video. I want you to tell me what's one for one here. And if all the judge finds is quotes from the book, but the book en masse, the vast majority of the book is not read off, it's just discussed, not only is that protected free speech, that's also entirely protected copyright, a fair use copyright. So they can't do that. Could they try? I mean, yeah. I mean, technically speaking, you can bring literally anything you want to court. But a lot of it can be thrown out for being frivolous. You need to have an actual case where you can prove damages. Yes, but you can still quote a source, quote the book, but you couldn't just sit and read the whole book and make an audiobook. Correct. That's the difference. But we're talking about lore videos here. And that's what I'm saying is protected. I don't know of any lore channel or lore videos that read the whole book. Like one for one. I don't know a single lore video out there that sits there and just opens up the book and reads through the book. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about lore channels here. Now, if you are a lore channel that makes audiobooks of whole novels, then yeah, you're screwed. Because you've basically made an audiobook. You have made a replacement for the copyrighted content, which is the novel. So you're fucked. Like a good microcosm of what I'm talking about here is in my Super Base World with Lord Metal Man, for those who've seen it. In that, Lord Metal Man basically told me the whole first half of the Caiaphas Cain first book for the Emperor. And I've started the audiobook for it. I've listened through it. He basically gave me a transcript of the point A, point B, point C of the first half of the book. Does that mean Lord Metal or I are going to be going after by GW? No, they have no case. Why? Because he didn't read it word for word. He just gave me the point A to point B to point C of the plot of the first half of the book. But that's protected free speech, and that's also protected fair use. You are allowed to discuss something, even in great detail. You're just not allowed to transcript it one for one. Am I saying that they'll never go after lore tubers? No. I'm sure at one point when they get desperate enough, they will. I'm just saying that they have no case for most lore tubers. Like for me, for Arch, for any of us that talk about it in our own opinions and we transcript it our own ways and we describe it in our own ways, there's nothing for them to clamp onto. I don't know if there's any YouTube channels out there that do try and do a one-for-one audiobook. If they do, I can't imagine those channels last very long. Like, if you tried that, you'd be screwed. Fuzan Zord says, why aren't there unlicensed Warhammer 40k lore books from other publishers then? I have no idea what you're talking about. That has absolutely nothing to do with what you posed. Would you like to come on? Because now you've confused me. because that makes zero sense with what you pitched. Like, your first comment was, I wonder when GW is going to go after lore videos, and then your next comment is, why aren't there unlicensed Warhammer 40k lore books from other publishers then? Those have zero connection. None of what I responded to has any connection to that second comment as well. Like, that's out of left field. Like, that is a completely unrelated point to everything we just discussed. Like, entirely. Yeah, somewhere in the future, you think they're going to go get a little desperate soon. Yeah, I have no doubt they're going to try. I have no doubt they're going to try at some point. Especially if their finances continue to plummet, as they have. At some point, they're going to completely... They're going to reach. They're going to reach. Now, the one opportunity, like the one like spectrum I could think of them not trying it is if they simply just don't have enough money to pay the legal fees. Which is kind of funny. Like, can you imagine that? The one thing that stops them from trying to go after people legally is they don't have the funds themselves to pay the legal fees. That's a kind of irony. That's a kind of irony. Toy Painter One said, welcome by the way. This will make up what? This will wake up the sheep and get them to boycott GW. Oh, do I think that this will wake people up to the sheep up to get the boycott GW? No, because the thing is, the only people really discussing this are people who already have a problem with it or are already shilling over it. Like, the only I do admit that this is not going to really reach the normies, I don't think. Like, if you're a normie hobbyist, you're probably not paying attention to this kind of discourse. So, sadly speaking, like, as much as I would wish that something like this would reach their ears, I don't think it is. Something that's going to reach the ear of a normie has to be introduced to them via their regular... Like, female custodians, that a normie interacted with. But... this kind of thing, I think the only people who would have heard about it are already, like, paying attention to the in-depth discourse. The people who already are looking at GW with a fine lens, or already are mad at them, or already shilling for them, one of the two. Hey, Nico. Hi, Asmo just joined. Do you think GW will double down on the Lawfare? Probably. Even trip it down in the future? Probably. As long as they can afford... To hire legal goons, they will try and pull shit. The only avenue I see them not continuing the legal fare is if they run out of funds to pay the legal fare. Like, they need money to pay the lawyers, and if they get to a point where they're like, okay, this is going to cost us this much money to do the lawsuit, but we aren't going to be able to afford to do this other stuff that we need to do to keep the company afloat, so we can't do it. That's the only avenue they stop the legal fare, is if they don't have enough expendable funds to pay legal fare. So the question is what's going to happen first? Are they going to bully enough people and suppress enough people via legal fare to the point that people don't feel safe even remotely attempting to make alternatives to GW stuff? Or are they going to run out of money? We'll see. There's no much difference a large YouTuber making, let's say, a Siege of Rax lore video and let's say Osprey creating a Siege of Rax book. Yes, there is. Again, would you like to come on? Because I feel like I need to explain this verbally to you, because I feel like you're completely not grasping basic things here. I'm not trying to insult you, by the way, but I do feel like you're complete... Like, the fact that you don't see a difference in those two things kind of scares me. Like, a fungible book and a YouTuber's lore video. And you're like, oh, well, there's no difference here. Really? Like, you genuinely think that? That scares me. Can I pull you on, please? I'll share the link in the... Let me share the link. So you can jump on the Discord, man. Because I'm genuinely worried by that. Yeah, there's the link in chat if you want to click on it. I'll pull you in. Giga Mango Fanta, thank you for the super chat. How much to shave the beard and scalp? The scalp, not the. I'll never shave the beard. There's no amount of money you could give me. But if you want me to shave my head, I'd say, $300, 300, $400, something like that. But I'll never shave my face. I like my beard too much. That's the moneymaker. I don't really give a shit about my head hair, to be honest. I give a shit enough that if you, like, I'll certainly upcharge. Alright, I'm gonna pull on my next guest. Sorry for the late. Can you hear me?
Aye.
Hello?
Hello?
Oh, there we go.
There. So I think this lad is done in. He's at first I didn't see any of his models. I just heard what was said and watched the like podcast episode and your coverage of it.
Mm.
I looked at his models. First one that came up was the Bellacore one, and I looked straight up at my Bellacore model that I have. That's the official one.
Yeah, that's the.
And I just knew I like, because even if let's say 1,000 people downloaded that STL off him,
yeah,
that's over $150,000 in damages that Games Workshop can claim.
Correct.
So I think he's done in on that. Knowing how he made the models, he's flew too close to the sun with it. He's done it in a very shady way. He 100% deserved the cease and desist.
Oh yeah, I agree on the cease and desist. Absolutely.
I don't think he deserves the aggressive pursuing that Games Workshop's doing.
Well, that's my thing, and that's why I don't necessarily agree he's done in. It depends on, again, depends very much on the wording of the cease and desist, and also I think someone in the chat said earlier that he's being sued in Britain or the UK. You would know their laws better, I'd assume, or the laws over there for copyright. But here in the
I think
US,
they're fairly similar to the US.
Yeah, here in the U.S. with like cease and desist at the very least, the whole point of a cease and desist in the U.S., as far as my, to be fair, amateur understanding, is to prevent a lawsuit. Because the idea of it is, okay, instead of a lawsuit, we're going to send you a cease and desist to stop this thing. Now, not always. Sometimes a cease and desist is to stop them immediately and then present a suit because you have provable damages. That's probably what they're doing here. But generally speaking, it's to prevent someone from continuing to cause damages to your profit line. If you're just going to sue them, though, normally you just file a lawsuit. You don't bother with a cease and desist. The cease and desist is to just prevent the legal fare from occurring. That's the and if he obeyed the cease and desist to the letter, and he's like, hey, he took it all down, and on top of it, there's the aspect if he wasn't profiting to begin with. Not say, like, again, it doesn't matter if you profit if there are tangible damages, to be fair. But if he obeyed the cease and desist, like immediately took it down, they shouldn't be pursuing him legally. I don't know as if they can or can't necessarily, but that's his biggest argument in court to defend himself is, hey, I obeyed the cease and desist, yet despite that, they're still pursuing me. That can make them look like they're using the legal system not to get the what they're owed, like they like to get recompense for damages. It can look like they're using what it looks like they're using it for, which is warfare. If you're using the legal system as a way to hurt somebody or go as a weapon, that's against the law. You're not allowed to do that, and that's what dictates a frivolous lawsuit. That's the only avenue that he doesn't get his ass reamed. It's thin, don't get me wrong, but it's something.
I do think they chose him because he's an easy target, and I don't think he's just an easy target because he's seemingly quite young, and that's like, it's a lot of money for just an average person. He's an easy target because of how he did it and what he's created. He's put 1-for-1s up, and he's got a Patreon so they can claim he's making money through it. They went for him because he's an easy target, but he's not just an easy target because he's just some guy who's putting up STLs for and not making a huge amount of money. He's not someone like Major Kill who's who's definitely infringing on the copyright with his Night Lord model called Lord of Night and stuff like that. But he's just a very simple target because it's 1-for-1 models of things that they do sell, like the I keep thinking about the Bellicor. The Bellicor is very clearly the not the current model that they sell, but it's the you can tell by the head it's the one from Total War because the head's like bigger and it's a slightly different like expression. But he's going to be a fairly simple target for it, just because he went around it in a very daft way. He didn't do it with any. I mean, obviously, no one thinks, when they're just some guy uploading an STL with a couple hundred downloads, that Games Workshop's going to come and ruin their life. But it's clear that's what's happening now, and definitely deserves a cease and desist. Doesn't deserve his life ruined for it, and would have to kind of see what happens and how it develops to see if he didn't follow the cease and desist of the letter. Because if he did follow the cease and desist of the letter and it was all within timeframes, then this shouldn't be happening. But if the cease and desist had had a time limit on it and he didn't get rid of the Patreon in time, then it's kind of his own fault.
Yeah, at that point, it definitely is. If they gave him a time limit and he went outside of it, I've lost the only avenue I can to defend him myself.
Yeah, I mean, at the same time, the Games Workshop shouldn't be doing this. It's immoral.
No. Absolutely.
And I do think people having apathetic reactions to it says more about Games Workshop than and how they operate as a business than anything any of us could ever actually say. If your reaction to a company trying to ruin someone's life is like, oh yeah, it's Games Workshop, that's not very good. It's not very a good look for Games Workshop. But
no, but they've not been worried about that reputation for decades. I mean, again, they've been going after people with legal fare and threatening with cease and desists for years. I mean, the whole reason a bunch of fan animators mysteriously jumped off of YouTube and went to Warmer Plus, and used a bunch of cookie cutter copy and paste like announcements of why. We all know why. Like we all know that in the background that they were threatened with legal fare. Like GW have always been a litigious as shit company. At least I don't know about the 80s or 90s, but certainly post 2000s they have been a litigious as hell company.
Yeah, in some ways you do have to be. I think again went way too far on this, but they do need to send out things like cease and desists, because when, let's say, there was a company that just set up and started actually producing that a copy of Warhammer, and we're making money off it, and they needed to take it to court, then Games Workshop never touching anything like what's happening now or some other examples would harm their actual argument against a company that was being genuine and like harmful towards their brand. But it's just a bit too much. He did deserve to be warned, because what he was doing is not the right way to do it, and not only is it harmful for him, but it's also harmful for everyone who's involved in 3D printing and making STLs, because it could set a precedent. If they go for a target who is being very clearly, a bit wild with it and doing things in a wrong way, they can go after people who are doing things in the right way easier.
Yeah,
I feel sorry for the guy, but he also really shouldn't have done it this way. And I feel like he's possibly caused problems for other people down the line. Obviously, you can't take all the blame. Can't give him even much blame, really, other than he clearly did something kind of silly. Games Workshop really shouldn't be, aggressively pursuing anything like this, especially considering that they're making so much money. 3D printing's clearly not harming their business. 3D printing's only getting more popular, and they're only making more money. They don't really have any competition. The closest thing they have to competition really would be like Warlord Games, who probably there's probably a trickle down effect there for getting customer bases from them.
Well, I will say long term, and I don't know what because here's the thing, we don't have access to their exact profit margin. And I will say, though, long term, 3D printing is a threat to GW. Because right now, what is the main divider between someone getting a 3D printer and just 3D printing everything they need to play Warhammer versus going to Warhammer specifically?
3D printing itself is it's kind of a hobby within itself because they're not necessarily the easiest piece of kit to get a hold of. Not get a hold of. Like get a hang of using.
Think of it in attachment. Oh, hold on. Giga Mango Fantas said two super chats. Actually, I missed one. If he's done in, the question is, will GW use lube? No, it's GW. Giga Mango Fantas just said, on a scale of cringe, who's worse, Wes or Bricky?
Wes. Yeah, Wes.
Bricky can at least be entertaining at times.
Yeah, Bricky's fine. He's just Californian. Like
he's a lefty.
Yeah, it's just he's Californian. That's the only real issue with Bricky, and all the issues that being Californian brings.
Oh yeah, but yeah, in regards to the biggest divide between someone getting into 3D printing, because the thing is, you talk about like the difficulty of it, but think about it, like getting into miniature modeling at all, like when you get, like at all into this thing, it requires already a lot of free time, a lot of patience, a lot of gross work because you have to glue everything. It already has a lot of your time and a lot of like minute autistic levels of detailing and stuff you got to do on the side. 3D printing requires all that as well. So if you're already kind of autistically like putting together these little tiny miniatures and painting them and doing all that, is it really that big of a jump of effort to get into 3D printing? I would argue not. Now, for the majority of people, maybe it is. But it's getting easier and easier, and also more and more affordable. Now, I do
think there will be a decent number of people where, obviously, 3D printing your hobby makes it does make it cheaper. It front ends some cost, but it makes it cheaper overall. It is still extra time on top of your hobby. Getting a hang of your 3D printer. Once you get a hang of it, it does again front end a lot of the hard work. Once you get a hang of how your printer works, it should be fairly easy. Like my 3D printer has a weird quirk where spraying hairspray on a part of it makes it work better.
Hairspray.
But yeah, it's one of the ones where there's like a plate that travels up. It's one of the cheap Anycubic ones. A plate goes up. The spraying hairspray on it for some reason makes the model adhere to it better. Otherwise, it just prints on the actual floor of it and doesn't get carried up.
I need to try.
And it took us a while. It took us a while to work that one out. It took us a while and a couple of days of googling, but it adds time on top of your hobby, where like you say, it's already quite a time-intensive hobby. A lot of people don't have the time to add that little extra bit on, and I do think 3D printing will replace like injection molds and all that sort of stuff. I think Games Workshop already use 3D printing in-house, and they'll probably switch over entirely to 3D printing within the next 10 years. It's just how we are going to use 3D printing as consumers that I don't think Games Workshop will ever go out of business because of 3D printing. I think if Games Workshop goes out of business, it'll be their own silly decisions that alienate the fan base.
Well, that's what's currently hurting them the most. That's why people are entertaining. Like, here's the thing. People, like, you're right. 3D printing does add a lot of time and effort on top of the regular hobbying that people do for Warhammer. But what might motivate somebody to go through that extra hoop? What typically gets people to do things that normally they wouldn't be asked to do if they were satisfied with the current status quo?
If they think fuck the company,
yeah,
they don't want to give them any more money.
If people get pissed,
print that from China, yeah.
And that's what's happening with GW right now. A lot of people are fucking pissed. Now, whether it's because of the Fem Studies thing or more, I wish more people were mad about that specifically. But to be honest, I think the biggest thing that is getting people pissed off is the prices. Like, they're not just adjusting their prices up by inflation. They're increasing their prices well above inflation. And they're also overcharging places outside of the UK.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, whilst I was watching, I had a look to see how much the Bellacore model was, and so I could compare, like, if they had so many downloads, how much damages would it have cost? And $168 for Bellacore is it's insane. It's £100 here in the UK, and I can then go through third parties and you can get that for about 20% off, but it's still an insane amount for one model. 300, I think about 360 points for $168. I mean, then you go to Australia and it's even worse. They do just charge way too much, and I remember being told that by my parents back when I was first getting started in like 2007 or 2008. So they've always been ridiculously expensive, but the past 5 years they do seem to have just increased beyond reason. I mean, I have noticed a lot of people. I was watching an Auspex Tactics video, and he was talking about the price increases when it happened back in June, and the amount of people in the chat were just like, "Yeah, I'm done. I'm completely done. I can't afford it anymore. I'm gonna have to stick to eBay." And I mean, I haven't bought a model direct from Games Workshop for probably about 2 years now. It's all been eBay and third-party sellers and a few 3D prints.
Yeah, the few I haven't bought anything from GW directly. I want to say 4 years now, 4 or 5 years. Because for
too expensive.
like the cat. Well, yeah, top of it was expense, but it's also like for me it was getting pissed at. It was getting pissed at a lot of like the community stuff they were doing like a couple years back.
Yeah.
So I haven't bought it, and during that time I did buy from eBay or secondhand, and at my local hobby store. You know how their hobby stores sometimes work. They'll buy it from GW, so if they sell it, the money's only going back into the store. It's not.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I bought a couple things from my local hobby store, like the Age of Darkness box set for the Horus Heresy when that came out.
Yeah, I pretty much bought everything from a local third-party place that does everything for like 20% off.
Yeah. I got a 40% off because I've been going there for so long at my hardware store.
Yeah, the amount of points that I've got racked up at some places.
Yeah, it's great. But yeah, the big thing with I agree to an extent though that, well, an addendum to my agreement. GW I think will switch to an extent to 3D printing, but right now the biggest thing is I don't know exactly what it looks like behind the scenes with them, because my biggest thing, like in my mind, that showcases that 3D printing it's these measures they're taking against like E-Man-G and the like these specific measures they're taking, like that shows me that they're not thinking in the background, oh, how can we make 3D printing work for us? How can we make a profit using that shows to me that they're actually trying to stop it. They're trying to fight it. They're trying to prevent 3D printing. So I don't think that they're hopeful. Well, not hopeful. Well, hopefully for them, I guess, but not hopefully for the rest of us. They're probably at some point going to convert to thinking like that. Like, okay, we can't beat 3D printing, so how can we make this work for us? But right now, I think for them to, it's adversarial. Like they're trying to suppress it.
Yeah, I think for them to change over their thought processes, I think the root of it all goes back to like their shareholders who will be the real people who are making demands for certain things to happen. And what I think if they change, then if they change maybe their demands for certain profits and stuff like that, then I think you could see Games Workshop transition over to 3D printing, and that you'd hope would lead to cheaper prices. It probably won't, because Games Workshop and companies and shareholders want more money always, and you can never have the line go down. Yeah,
they've never passed along savings to the customer. GW hasn't anyway.
Yeah, no, I'm surprised. It's insane that they don't have some sort of loyalty scheme. The closest thing they have to any sort of deal is if you go into the store and buy 10 paints, you get the most expensive one for free. That's the closest thing that they have. That's the only sort of deal that they have. I just think everything when it comes to how Games Workshop operates as a company is probably the fault of the shareholders more than anything. I think all the changes, like all the any woke law changes, it'll be shareholders demanding stuff. Not it won't be. It might be some some writers as well. Like in Black Library will be woke because they're probably university educated in literature, which coming from someone who's got a degree in the humanities, I know what those sort of departments are like. But most of the demand changes, such as fem stories, that'll be coming from shareholders. If I had to put money on something, it's shareholders. I don't think it matters what Bits says on Twitter, what anyone says on Twitter. No matter us, them. I don't think Games Workshop listens or cares. It's all what people who have the money behind them are saying, and nothing will change unless they change.
Yeah, I agree. Real quick. Okay. I'm gonna thank you for coming on, man. I have a couple other people waiting, but I appreciate the back and forth.
Yep, no problem. See you later.
See you later.
Bye.
Giving a Fanta. Thank you for the super chats, man. Thank you. Would rather shitpost super chats than give GW money. Well, I appreciate it, and I think that is a better use of your time and money. All right, pulling in Karen. Can you hear me?
Moshi Moshi. So, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, good. So, I kind of just want to get here to talk about the part where it's free because it's legal because it's free kind of part. Because that isn't really a thing when it comes to copyright, even if you are distributing something for free. It can even be seen as sometimes worse as having to pay.
No, that wasn't the point of bringing.
No,
that...
it's because the other guy kept saying that.
All
right. Because that's like I always wanted to be weird that some people try to use that argument because it's free. It just means you are giving stuff for free that doesn't belong to you.
Yeah, that's true. The only point with like the free thing is it can help in a character argument in court. It's like, okay, well, I wasn't profiting off it.
Then why did you put it on a website where people can give you money for?
Yeah, that's where that falls apart. Yeah. Again, like the thing that's gonna make or break E-Man at this point is the cease and desist. Like if he obeyed it to the letter, and if they gave him a time frame and he did everything within the time frame, then he can make the argument that the lawsuit itself is unnecessary, and it
also can be argumented that it was supposed to be immediate, meaning at
correct. Again,
not
it depends...
at your convenience, but at direct this time where you got served the papers.
Correct. So that's he's probably fucked if I'm being honest. Like,
oh yeah, if GW want, they can even get him for deception.
True, because
like if he advertises that this free STLs only come from him and not GW, then they can get him also on deception and try to argue against a deception charge. It's difficult.
Yeah, I don't know.
Depending how hard GW wants to get in, they can cook him pretty brutally.
Yeah, if I had to be honest, like there was an argument until I saw the Bellacore model, but there was an argument for a little while there that none of the models he was putting up could cause damages because they didn't have a model equivalence. But then I saw the Bellacore one.
Even if they have a model equivalence at that direct moment, if something else that is under GW has something that's that looks the same or is similar enough, they can still get him on that. Even when it's like a 3rd edition assassin cover. Like if you 3D printed necklace Eversor, they might still, they most likely are going to be able to get you for that.
Yeah, but that's more of an arguable aspect though in court.
Oh yeah, it's a little bit more difficult, but something like this.
Problem is it's a moot point because of the Bellacore model. Like that in particular has got him fucked.
And the problem, he fucked a lot of people by doing that. Like if GW get the precedent from this, ooh.
Yeah.
Like 3D printing is will not disappear 100%, but that will guarantee more people thinking about it more than once before doing it at the first place.
Yeah.
And especially if GW wants to sue for damages, and they subpoena the metadata of his Patreon website, and they use the clicks on the website. Ooh, that man will never see a dime in his entire life.
Yeah, that'll fuck him. That'll fuck him real. Yeah, the only avenue that I think is it depends on what they have also filed. Because if they're filing under damages, at the very least, like the cease and desist and all that, that can save them from like 1 or 2 filings. But it depends on like every angle that they. I have no doubt that GW has filed from as many angles as they possibly can. Yeah. Giga Make Fantas for $5. Thank you. Funny little scenario, but would you chug 5 liters of A1 or mayo if it meant you get full directory control, creative liberty of the Warhammer 40k show? Or a 40k show?
Fuck, I do that for free.
I would do that.
No.
I would not do that for free,
No.
but I would do that to get control of a Warhammer show. Fuck yeah. I would vomit, but I would do it.
The fuck is A1 sauce?
It's a steak sauce. Not like
Sauce
It's not like barbecue. It's
Oh, okay.
I don't know how to
You
describe
Americans
it.
and the weird sauces.
It's very bitter.
Yeah, because that's what I need on my steak to ruin it.
I don't like A1 sauce myself, but yeah.
Yeah, that man is cooked.
Yeah,
Thank you.
it's looking very bad for him. That being said, like, I still don't think GW's in the right to go after him after the cease and I agree to the cease and desist. That makes perfect sense.
The thing is, they have the rights, but it is very consumer unfriendly. Customer unfriendly. I don't like using consumer. Consumer is a bad word. It's customer unfriendly.
Yeah. Like, this is definitely extremely bad for their image. Nobody...
Killing you softly? If Emek got scared and just settles, that's the best thing for him to do.
I would have to agree, yeah.
If he tries to combat that, and he fails miserably, he's going to stick with his lawyer costs, the lawyer costs of his opposition, and damages, and maybe even a prison sentence.
Well, the only way... I don't know UK law,
settle
but...
it out of court.
The prison sentence thing, I think Emanji is in America. I don't know where he is, mind you. But if he's in America and they're suing him in the UK, I don't know how the prison thing will work. If they're suing him in the US...
They will do it through the county he's in.
Yeah, the only way to send him to prison is if he can't pay.
And if it's like across countries, this is supremely expensive.
Yeah, I don't know how GW can afford all the lawfare that they do. Like, are they really making that much money that they can continue to afford the hounds?
I don't think that the money doesn't matter at this point. It's to show what happens.
Yeah, I guess.
The money is secondary. What they want is to scare people to keep their foothold in this economy. Which, say what you want, that's a method that's sadly often used.
Killing. Excuse me.
The effect is arguable, but
yeah,
it is still used.
I think the effect, yeah, you're right. They're just using it, but I think that this is going to be short term. The internet is people. If anything, this usually galvanizes the hardcores, so a lot of people are just going to bounce off of this.
But a good chunk of the fan base is also very, very forgetful. Like, look at the Blizzard fan base; they are very much forgetful, and I doubt with the Warhammer fan base it's going to be that much different with most people.
Probably not, to be fair.
Man, like, killing yourself, they said, oh, next shiny thing. And the next shiny thing is most likely around the corner as fast as everything is happening these days.
Yeah. Hate to admit it.
So I think it can have a big impact or not at all. Like, if he settles out of court in silence, it won't damage us whatsoever. But if he tries to bring it up to court, it might damage us a lot.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
times
sorry
like
to
these,
be Sorry
No.
to be a downer here.
No, but you're being realistic, which is fair. I don't
Like,
know
I can say in no way he can get out of this score 3.
no. I mean, hopefully with people getting aware of it and backing him, GW will try and settle with him. I mean, that's
The only thing he can hope for is for mercy.
Yeah, because this is. I was feeling a lot better. Yesterday or the day before when I made the video, because I didn't see. I saw a couple of the models, but I didn't see the Bellacore one. Really is like a nail in the coffin.
Remember, just a different post doesn't mean it's legal.
True, but there's more of a debate like if they don't have a model equivalent. Like as far like I didn't see a Grimgore equivalent on their shop.
They used to have Grimgores. They can use that. Just because it's on hiatus doesn't mean it's gone.
Yeah, but again, like it's something in court you can debate. It's like okay, he was putting it for free, wasn't profiting of it. Yes, there's the Patreon with the supports, but again, you could argue what they're paying for is the supports. They're not paying for
but what do they support them? What the use has the support? The support has the use that he produces more of those models.
Correct. Again, this is something like you and I are playing the prosecutor, or sorry, we're playing the attorneys right now. Like me, the attorney for E-Man, you for GW. That's something for the court to debate. Like that is something you can debate. And of course, that being said, if his defense lost in the eyes of the judge, because I don't think this would be a jury case. This would be civil. So this would be a judge case.
Yeah,
so,
since it's outside of America, like since Britain is part of it, it will not be settled by his peers. It will be settled by the judges.
Yeah, it would be to the judge, which means he's fucked.
Most likely, depending how harsh the judge is. How old is the guy? If
I don't know. He sounds younger. Like I listened to his voice, he sounded like he was early 20s, maybe.
No, if he's a bit younger, maybe the judge said, "Okay, he just fucked up. He gets the demerit, and that's fine."
Yeah, I'm kind of for his sake, I'm hoping either leniency due to his age, or again GW just being like, "Look, we don't want to go through this either. We've made our point. We'll settle with you." One of the two. He is. Oh, someone sent me a link to. Hold on. Case details for Games Workshop Limited v. Giuseppe. Giuseppe? Is that his last name? Hold on.
Giuseppe.
Yep, that is his last name. Oh, I'm just looking at this. Oh fuck. Alright, let me share this on screen. Doom. Okay, so I may be misreading this, but if I'm not so this is the case details of Games Workshop Limited versus Giuseppe, which is his last name.
Oh.
If I'm not misreading this, and these are all individual cases, let's see.
Why is there more than one? That's not good.
Well, 2019.
Oh no, it's just case documents. Okay.
Yeah,
you can have multiple documents for one case.
Yeah, so this might just be. Yeah, I think it's just the one case, GW Limited versus Giuseppe. So okay, so Fourth Amendment scheduling order. Wait, Fourth Amendment, an amendment. Wait, do the UK have amendments?
Every country has amendments.
Copyright Claims Board, electrifying. Is this the US or is this the UK?
Wait a second, I'm getting an ad.
Hold on. Copyright Claims Board. That sounds like a US thing. Are they suing him in the US?
Somewhere on the side where you can actually see from which country they are. If not, you can just click on the document and it should say who the plaintiff is, from who the plaintiff is suing him. He's getting sued on 3 counts.
Okay.
Oof. So copyright, deception. What would the other be? And this time it's sad that my English fails me.
They're filing in the United States.
Yeah. It's most likely easier for. Oh, that's a short one.
Hate how it doesn't center. On.
Yeah, you might not want to show that on stream in case there's something significant.
It's all public documents though.
Oh, so yeah, right. That's how it works in America.
Yeah, like all this is public. They don't secure it, so it doesn't matter if I show it or not. It's public. Fourth Amendment scheduling hearing.
I do wonder how many similarities we have. GW just cancelled the Space Marine 2 beta.
Oh yeah. Thank you for the super chats for Caboose and Gigamega Fanta. Gigamega Fanta says if both of you had each other over for a meal, what would you guys make for one another? Breakfast, lunch, or din-din?
I can make one hell of a dinner.
I can make a great lunch. Great filling midday lunch.
And I'm usually too drunk to wake up for breakfast, so.
GW just canceled Space Marine 2. GW did? Or Saber Interactive? Because that's like the people actually making it.
And one day I joked that it's going to be an open world game. Now I'm not so sure if it was a joke.
Let me look at something here. Just checking something. Okay, so the Fourth Amendment scheduling. That's the latest document. So on May 31st, 2024, at a pre-discovery conference in the above-captioned consolidated proceedings, that's between Games Workshop Limited claimant and the E-Man and Gisemi respondent. Counsel for both parties indicated they reached a settlement in principle and expected to finalize a settlement agreement within 2 weeks. Okay.
Hey, best case scenario for him. He's going to get his high 10, but hey.
That's very good news. That's very good. Wait. That actually introduces a huge question mark, though.
Why not?
Because he was on the side scrollers interview begging for help. Well, granted, he still needs help to pay for the legal fees, right? That still makes sense. But he was on talking about the situation with side scrollers. And he wasn't exactly like being fair to his. So if he's trying to reach a settlement, that interview he did with side scrollers, that's a terrible move.
Right, we haven't done many smart moves until now.
Because the settlement discussion, the file for it, was on May 31st, which means that was over a week ago. He did the side scrollers interview a couple days ago, which means they're still in the file for the settlement. If he pisses GW off in the middle of that,
makes it sound like he's trying not to profit from being sued. That's a problem.
This is maybe I'm misunderstanding.
I would need to be able to read all of that, but yeah.
And I'll send you the link. Hold on, but let me try and recenter this. Oh god, I hate this preview thing. Okay. All right, so let me read through it again. So on May 31st, 2024, at pre-discovery conference in the above-captioned consolidated proceedings, counsel for both parties indicated they reached a settlement. So both parties have indicated they have already reached a settlement in principle and expect to finalize the settlement. So it's not finalized. They have verbally agreed to a settlement, but they haven't finalized it yet within 2 weeks. So we're still in the middle of the finalization period. We still are right now. So unless I am vastly misunderstanding what I'm reading, him going to the internet and complaining about GW and a little bit shitting on them, and not completely, to be fair, he wasn't completely shitting on them, but I'm kind of lost here. Like,
Oh no, the last part.
okay, June 14, 2024, respondent council emailed the board stating that the parties have exchanged a draft settlement agreement and requested another 2-week stay to allow the parties to finalize the agreement. The board extended the stay until June 28th, 2024. As of today, July 1st, 6 days ago, 2024, the parties have not filed a notice of settlement and request for dismissal signed by both parties. Therefore, the board is issuing its Fourth Amendment scheduling order setting new dates for the pre-discovery conference, discovery, and status conference. Okay, so pre-discovery and service respondent stand interrogated. Okay, so they're being called to court. Wait, what? So, assuming I'm not misunderstanding what
There's no official agreement.
but it looks like they're in talks of a settlement.
Yeah, in talks.
So wouldn't that be the stupidest time to piss them off?
Yeah, and most importantly, since this is going to look like he's trying to enrich himself.
Well, the thing is, to be fair to him, he's
Give me a second.
yeah. To be fair to him, he explained on this interview with Side Scrollers that the money he was asking for was just to get him out of the red. Like he's 45K in debt to his legal fare. So this doesn't necessarily contradict that part.
The parties have not filed a notice of settlement and request. Yeah, that would be the time you actually would shut the fuck up about anything and just try to settle it, try to get the money later. Because from my point of view, it looks like self-enrichment at the moment. Because the way it looks like this is done to hope that GW just dismiss it.
Unless he can prove that he is 45K in debt. Like if he can provide the legal receipts showing
he has
that
to provide why he's in debt.
Yeah, if he provides proof of that, then he's fine in that regard. The part that still kind of confuddles me is why would you don't get me wrong, I get that he needs help getting the money together, but I would, if I were him, I would have waited until the settlement was done, and then ask
most
for
importantly,
help.
If he does say that it is for his legal fee, everything that goes above the amount that he needs for his legal fee will then again be divvied up either to GW or the legal teams.
Yeah,
he won't be allowed to keep a rest.
Yeah, this is
From if I could give him this, tell him what to do, I would shut the fuck up and wait.
Yeah, I am not a lawyer. I do not know if I am misreading this or misunderstanding this, but if my understanding is not incorrect, this does not look very good.
I'm also not a lawyer, but I do have a couple of years experience with economy, and this is an economy-based case. But I don't know American case law in that.
Yeah, that's.
But since America and the UN have pretty similar laws.
Yeah, this is not looking good.
Nope.
Well,
let's hope they either don't find that podcast, or they just say, it's what it is, and they just ignore it. And if GW then dismisses then it was just a very, very painful clap on the ass.
Fingers crossed on that.
Well, his patron is not going to survive it 100%. And I doubt he will be able to give away STCs ever again, openly.
STLs, you mean?
Yeah, sorry.
STC.
STCs, yeah. It's the standard construct.
Standard template construct.
The standard template construct, yeah. Too much Warhammer in this brain.
Well, I thank you for coming on, Karn. It was good to get your commentary.
Yeah, sorry, my voice is getting a bit hoarse. See you later, my dude.
See you later. Yeah, boy. Maddie Dewell, Saber sent emails out saying won't be any beta. Want focus on game? What? Want focus on game for September 9th. That's kind of shady. That's a red flag. That's a red flag. Oh, we're not going to do a public beta because we just want to make sure the game's good for launch. So what you're saying is the game is shit right now and that it's at such a state you don't feel confident the beta will boost sales or get people confident in the game. That's what that translates to. Sacred STCs for the munition. The beta already happened and people are saying it's good. Oh, okay, so it did happen. So they've just canceled other betas. Is that the case? Because if they canceled all betas, then that's shady as hell. But if they did a beta and people liked it and then they're just canceling other betas, which is weird, by the way, can I just point that out? Why do multiple betas? You would just do one, right? Like you do an alpha test and then you do a beta test and then launch. That's my logic. They closed the beta, happened. Okay, so it was a beta that was going on and they closed it. Okay. Did beta last year. Okay. So wait, why even have another beta then? Betas are just marketing at this point? They really are. But why even do I'm very confused. Well, point is, that's good news for the game. I'm still not getting it until I watch a review. Oh, let's search my back. Okay. Raziel, Lord of Secrets, is next up. Hello, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Let me just turn my phone off. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, yes.
Right. I just wanted to say, because when I first heard about this, I wanted to make sure I knew everything and not just, dive in feet first. And so I'm the one who sent you that link, and basically it's not going to court. It went to the Copyright Claims Board. It's not court.
Right.
Right? And which means they have some power. Basically, Games Workshop for each piece of work cannot claim more than $30,000. Like that's the total they can claim for each one. Can't claim any more than that.
For each instance of the copyright breach, or for
each piece of work done basically.
Okay.
Right. Whereas if they had gone to federal court, which they could have done, it could have been up to $150,000. See?
Right.
So this could have gone to court, but they've chosen to go to the Copyright Claims Board. They also consolidated it all into one claim. Originally, it was like 12 different claims. Now it's just the one. I'm just trying to give you guys a bigger picture of the situation here. So this started, believe it or not, way back last year.
Right.
The cease and desist was sent on the 10th of July, and it was meant to be completed.
Wait, hold on. 10th of July.
2023.
That contradicts what E-Man himself said, because he said he received a cease and desist in September.
No, it was. Let me just bring it up here.
Interesting.
Here we go. The claim. Here we go. The claim. It's on the other page. You can actually see. You can actually see the cease and desist letter. They have it there.
Oh, they have it here?
Yeah. Go to the page 2, and right at the bottom you see GW's claim.
Oh, let me pull it up.
And I try to avoid that as much as possible.
Thank you for noticing that. I'll pull it up, but I won't show it. I don't think we got to that part.
Video.
Yeah, I don't think we scrolled to that part.
No, it's a link right at the bottom, Exhibit 7.
Okay. Yeah, good call. Thank you for warning me about that. That does have his address. Okay, so I will read the segments of it that do not contain any doxing information. Okay, dear Mr. Gusemi. Alright, so it doesn't look like there's anything here that's going to dox him, so let me read this segment. So this is from the actual cease and desist. Dear Mr. Gusemi, we represent Games Workshop Group, a British limited liability company, Games Workshop, in connection with their intellectual property rights. It has come to our attention that you, acting on various online platforms, Etsy, Cult3D, Patreon, etc., under the account name eManG, are responsible for the infringement of certain registered copyright owned by Games Workshop. Games Workshop therefore demands that you immediately cease... yep, they used immediately. Yep, so that means any time he took... Yeah, okay, so yeah, no, the cease and desist is not a... So he's fucked. Point blank, he's fucked. Because they did specify immediately. That you immediately cease such infringing activity, desist from such infringing activity in the future, and comply with Games Workshop's other requirements set forth in this letter. As you are no doubt aware, Games Workshop is the owner of design/artworks within the computer game Total War Warhammer. It is also the rights owner of numerous miniatures of Warhammer 40,000 and similar Games Workshop war games. Among others, those registrations cover the following designs and artworks, and they list off the Bloodthirster, the Unclean One, the Lord of Change, the Karanak Fleshhounds, the Green Unclean One, another variation of the Green Unclean One. Yeah, he's fucked. The One Avenue...
That's not the worst bit. That's not the worst bit. If you go to the Instagram link, there's admission of guilt.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, I think it's the first one.
Screenshot response. Yeah,
on the claim. Screenshot of respondent's Instagram account. Yeah, there's an actual admission of guilt.
Yeah, he's fucked. Holy fuck. Oh my god. Yep. That's indefensible. That's indefensible.
And you're right, there is not anything like... Yeah, just to kind of finish up, like you said, coming now, asking for money, like cap in hand, GW might not do actually anything with the settlement. All they might do is go, hey, Capcom, do you want to have a look at this? Hey, Bethesda, do you want to have a look at this?
Yeah, that's bad. Holy shit. Oh my god, that is so bad.
Yeah, I just tried to make sure I had a clear picture of what's actually happening.
Yeah. I think I can share this on screen.
Yeah.
Holy crap, that is bad. Yeah, right there. Are these models from Total War Warhammer? Yes.
Go to the next one. It's even worse.
Are these sculpted from scratch or based on Total War Warhammer root files? He said the latter. He just ripped them.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's literally nothing he can do to defend himself from that. That is wholesale bad.
The only good thing that
He's screwed.
There is one good thing that can come out of this. The Copyright Claims Board cannot force injunctions. They cannot serve injunctions. So, because he didn't comply with the cease and desist, he can still do his 3D printing. The Copyright Claims Board cannot force him to stop that.
Yeah. Sergeant Vivek says, sorry, real quick, for $2, I saw a New York address on screen. Okay, so I'll have to take down the VOD of this. If that's his address. Yeah, but go ahead.
They cannot force him to stop. The Copyright Claims Board cannot force him. It's basically, he's coming to a settlement. He might say, right, I'll no longer do your stuff, but I'm going to continue doing 3D printing. And GW can say, okay, fine, we'll accept that. Right?
Yep.
And the Copyright Claims Board can't say, you've got to stop it. They can just say, right, you've got to pay, basically. I mean, I think GW actually, surprisingly, went the high route with this one. They didn't just go, we're suing you, we're going to take you for everything. It's like, we're going to do what we can to minimize what we can do to you, sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean that's fair to point out. I mean, based on the information I had, which is mostly his account, I don't know. I feel like he lied. Because he didn't explicitly say none of this was the case, but the way he explained it on side scrollers,
Yeah.
that is, yeah, he painted a very different picture. Yeah, he's totally fucked. And holy crap. Yeah, and I agree. Like, I hate to admit it as much as I hate GW, but I have to admit it that's the truth. They are being rather nice. They're actually talking to him about a settlement.
Yeah.
And they have him dead to
And the
rights.
fact- yeah, and they could have just taken him to court.
Yeah.
It could have gone from. They literally could have cost him 5 times what it's already doing. It could have gone from top 30,000 to top 150,000.
Yeah. Holy crap.
Yeah. I feel bad for revealing the truth, but I think it needs to be known.
No, don't feel bad about it, man. I feel bad that I defended him as staunchly as I did. I'm not going to excuse it. I should have looked more into it. Holy crap. This is damning. Doesn't even begin. Like, that is bad.
Yeah, I hope like it does mean that this is. I think, and my stutter coming back.
No, you're fine.
Right. Look, I hate Games Workshop. I haven't bought any GW stuff since. I can't remember when. Right? I play Wild West Exodus now. I'm getting into Conquest, Bolt Action, and like even my entire channel has dropped GW as a whole. Right?
Right.
And when I heard this, it's like because something clicked in my head that I kind of remembered this already. And I thought I need to look into this first before just shouting at GW, and that's what I did.
Yeah. And good on you, man. Like, really.
Anyways.
Holy crap. Shikai says for 5 pounds per sterling. As soon as money was involved, it was over. GW will turn a blind eye to a lot if there is no money involved. They actually quite open about this. I mean, not in my experience with them. I've seen them go after people for pretty frivolous bullshit before. It's just not in this case.
I've got to say the same because if you read the claim is actually about Cult 3D. It's not actually about his Patreon. The whole lawsuit is about him uploading to Cult 3D.
Yeah.
Which is the free site. They're just saying now with Patreon he's actually making money off it as well. I mean, that's one of the biggest things I've been seeing with this is everyone going, oh, it's all about Patreon. It wasn't about Patreon. It's about Cult 3D. And then GW even said during the DMs when they were talking to Patreon about the DMCA, it's like this is irrelevant because it's his stuff he's using as an excuse that he could put it on Patreon. So he uploaded it to Patreon, and he uploaded it to Cult 3D. And when they did the DMCA, he said, "Oh, but it's free on Cult 3D," with never mentioning that it was him who put it on Cult 3D.
Yeah. And I'm just looking through the exhibits. They got him dead to fucking rights.
Yep.
Yeah, that's so bad. That admission on Instagram. Holy shit. Yeah, thank you so much, man, for the clarification.
No worries. Anything to help because I want people to know the truth and be, so they don't just jump into an argument and say so and so's bad. You might not like this person you're defending, but if they're telling the truth and they're in the right, you've got to defend them.
Yeah.
It's just the way it is, unfortunately. I wish it wasn't.
Yeah. Well,
Anyway, I've got to go, so I've got to go now, dude. You enjoy the rest of your stream.
Yeah, thank you so much, man. Have a great rest of your day, okay?
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
How do I get out?
Oh, you just click the disconnect. Yeah, there's a little... I can disconnect it. Hold on. There we go. Looking at these exhibits, Hate to admit it, GW, like base GW are in the right. In the right. I'll have to make a retraction. This is really bad. Yeah, I mean, coming from someone who hates GW with a burning passion, I'm looking through this. They're being nice. They are being nice. Yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna call him a liar necessarily. Well, he did lie about a couple things actually. So no, never mind. I kinda have to. I kinda have to. He lied. Okay, like this is. Yeah. I mean, they're assholes, but they are in the right. This is inarguable. God damn. Yeah, we can't be so tribalist that we ignore when people pull a shit like this. Yeah, it's the truth. Copyright Claims Board. Yeah. I definitely fucked up. I should have looked into this more. Fuck, that's bad. Yep, that's bad. Gotta go. Catch you later. Join the Discord. Yeah, awesome, man. I'll see you later. Have a good one. Thank you so much. Money gets you on their radar. I've had free proxies out there for a couple of years. The moment I made paid for designs that took inspiration from their IP, they DMCA'd the lot. Yeah. I mean, I've seen them pull frivolous crap in the past. This just isn't a good case of it. Okay. I'm gonna pull in Havoc. We're not gonna have a long conversation, Havoc, just to let you know, because I do need to take down the stream because I accidentally showed his address. But I think I can take a couple minutes to talk to you, and then I'm gonna take down the stream, and I'm gonna re-edit a VOD version. Oh, let me just move over here. And I'm gonna re-edit a VOD version with that blacked out. So it might give me a couple days to re-upload this open mic. And also I have to make a video with a retraction because this is damning as shit. And I feel bad for Arch because he felt bad about this. Yep, this is bad. Alright. Havoc.
Heyo. I don't have much to say, so I'll keep it short as well. So, as far as this, yeah, this is pretty on GW's side at this point. I'm looking more into it. And the thing that I would say is that copyright law really needs to be refined a lot, is because 3D printing has existed in this gray area for a long time, and we're probably going to see more of this that isn't as good the more that it starts competing with the actual companies that have the properties. What isn't being talked about so much now, that because it's being a little bit more quiet, is Catalyst Game Labs has been going after people for BattleTech when they haven't before, because it's actually starting to bite into them.
Okay.
Yeah, that's about it, really.
I mean,
But
I agree that, well, the thing is, a lot of laws that haven't updated with the internet and digital media need to be updated, so you're definitely right about that, and that definitely applies here very specifically.
yeah, definitely not in agreement with those sort of people who are like, copyright law is bad. Like, no, copyright law is a good thing. Like, you need to have the rights to your intellectual property.
Correct.
But we need to have it clear-cut enough to actually... So, like, if you want to have 3D printing, we need to have something that's like, okay, so outside of, you know, what they actually produce, which is what that one case filed out with GW, like in this case, it was like really just basically the same model but different poses.
Yeah.
That's not acceptable. Like having those clear cut would actually be a good thing.
Yeah, it'd be very beneficial for everybody involved, the copyright
Mhm.
holders and those at risk of breaching copyright.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I agree with your wholesale there, man.
Yep. Anyway, I don't have much more to say on that, so I can just dip out and let you edit out that part where you accidentally showed the address.
Yep. Actually, I think I think I can do that via YouTube's editor. Hopefully, I'll see if I can find it. YouTube's editor takes like 6 days though to apply and edit, so this VOD will still be down for a while. But yeah, have a good one, man.
Yep, you too.
The admission part is still gets me though. Like, that's so bad. I showed you guys it already, but that I keep looking back at it thinking it's got to look different, right? No, that's just it's that bad. Yeah, they're being nice. With everything they got, they're being nice. Well, that's it for the open mic, guys. Thank you guys for coming. We started off on Emanji's side, and I'm ending off not necessarily against him, but I'm not on his side now. Like, to say he dug his grave is an understatement. He dug it, and he built the coffin and pre-chiseled out his tombstone. God damn. All right, that's it. Bye-bye.